What's up, everybody? Once again, it is I, James, coming to you from the Nerdy Musings podcast studio. I am joined today by somebody I consider to be a true modern master of art, Mr. Ryan Benjamin. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Modern
Awesome.
master.
I
Cool.
consider you a modern master. I have my list of people whose, mastery of illustration is up there, and you are among those people.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I
Appreciate
know
it.
you're
Thank
a
you.
humble guy, but anybody that's seen your work, it's a thing of beauty.
You know, I I kind of recognize that, and I realize I can use my art to attract a specific crowd. So
Yes,
I think I've kind of mastered that. So
it definitely resonates. Your love of art, it has to go back a long time. I mean, when you were a little kid, I know we've chatted a little bit before at cons and things. I get the impression you were probably the kid that was grabbing the crayons and drawing on the walls and that kind of stuff. Is my impression there correct?
definitely that was me. I was always doing something artistic and creative when I was a kid. As far as grabbing stuff and drawing, I would grab my sister's notebooks,
Okay.
and so I would wait till the end of the year. So when at the end of the year, when they're done with school, they're not using the notebooks anymore. So on the back would have a ton of blank pages, and that was my material. I would take it and start drawing on all those pages.
Awesome.
So that
So
was
just
me.
in like ruled like school notebooks, that
Yep,
type of stuff.
with the lines. Yep. And I would just go in and start drawing all throughout the pages.
Now, was it comic inspired drawing, or were you just drawing whatever from your imagination at that point?
A little bit of everything. I was into drawing comics. I was very much into my dad's kung fu magazines.
Oh yeah,
He had this magazine where it showed you all these different forms, and one of them was like a guy kind of standing like this,
yep.
and
Overhead
yeah,
block,
he was like an
umbrella
overhead
block.
block, but
Yes, sir.
he had the other hand like this, and I would trace that, and I would trace it, and then turn that into like my own characters. I'd turn that to Batman, Superman, whoever
That's
it was.
awesome.
So I remember
So you
that.
already you already kind of drawing from reference without even really thinking of it in that
Yep,
regard.
yep. I used to do that, and eventually He-Man back in the
Okay.
day. Okay, so you remember those He-Man toys?
Yep.
So those He-Man toys, how muscular they are, I would use that for muscle reference. And then I started to, I would turn from drawing from the karate book into drawing the He-Man toys. And then that kind of kept growing and growing. So,
Man, you were innovating before they, now they sell the little 3D printed guys for people to be able to pose for art
yep,
reference and
yep,
everything.
yep. And I was already
We
doing
had
that.
our Star Wars figures and our He-Mans and all of that we were doing that with.
Yeah, I was like 8 years old doing this already. So,
Yeah. Now, when it came to comics, when did your love of comics spark off?
back in the day, I remember my sister. She was the tip of the spear that kind of sucked me into the comic world. It started off with the Archie comics back in the day, and she would read it all the time, and then I ended up reading them, and then eventually I picked up on the Tarzan comics back in the day, and I started reading those. Um, And then from there, that's when I was introduced to my mom had this giant book with Rockwell's art,
Oh, yeah.
and so I would look at his art and see how he would do things and just get inspired from that. So it was a combination of looking at these master painters to the comic book world, and just kind of going back and forth between both.
So you had an appreciation for fine art as well.
Yeah. So I would look at a lot of Norman Rockwell, look at Frazetta and just kind of I was already seeing this because back in the day when we had the giant encyclopedias,
Yep.
so we had all those, and I was looking, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Look at that. Look at all these different artists in there.
When our encyclopedia wasn't inside our phone.
Exactly. These kids today, they have it so easy. It's so easy.
Hey man, remember when people would go door to door selling those things?
Yeah, I remember.
Your parents got a set, and then you were like, oh, cool, pull it out.
I totally remember.
A word. Yeah.
Yep.
So with the comics, the art inspiration, and all of this, at what point did it kind of hit you that you wanted to pursue this as a career? Did you kind of know from out the gate, like, hey,
no,
art is it for me? It's something related to art is what I'm going to do when I grow up.
The first hint I had of this was when I was maybe 9. No, I was 12. I was on the playground with a bunch of friends, and we were playing, war or cowboys and Indians or whatever it was. And then I remember us all sitting here thinking, talking about what are we going to do when we get older. And I remember telling my friends that I'm going to write a book, but I have no idea how to do it. All I know, I wanted to get into publications, just get into that, right? But had no idea how to do it. And then I kept that going all the way through middle school, high school, even college. When I was in college, all I knew is that I can draw, but I have no idea what I wanted to do. It wasn't until the last day of school, we were all sitting there. I was sitting in class with these names you guys probably know him, with Brett Booth.
Oh yeah, just that guy.
Yeah, that guy. So Brett and I were in class together. So I was sitting in class with Brett Booth and Sean Ruffner, and some of you guys will remember Sean from the early days of Wildstorm. He was around. He was one of the writers that was there. He actually wrote Backlash and a couple of the books. And we were all sitting together. And then that's when Brett Booth pulled out a series of books, a series of comic books. And one of them was Jim Lee's X-Men #1.
Nice.
And my eyes flipped open, like, who is this guy? And they were like, he was like, it's Jim Lee. And I'm like, who's Jim Lee? And then he gave me the full story and told me all about. I didn't even know Image Comics existed at that time. And he was like, yeah, this is who he is, and this is what's going on, and I'm going to go work for them. I'm like, okay, if you're going to do this, I'm thinking to myself, I can do this.
Yeah.
If he can do it, I know I can do it, because I was in like the top 3 artists of the entire college. So I went on, and I that's when I decided I'm just going to sit at home and just keep practicing until I get this job. It took me 6 months of just sitting at home, doing nothing, absolutely nothing, but drawing and sleeping, drawing and sleeping, drawing. It was sort of like the UFC camp.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that. So you get in there and you get into a little room where you just,
like,
everyone's sitting there.
You want to get good at something. That actual
get
thing,
in there,
right?
Yeah, yes, and so it was like that. But I did it at my apartment, and this is a true story. I'll close it out with this one. One day I was sitting at home and I was just drawing like normal. And my phone rings, the old push button phones.
Yep.
It rings. I picked it up. It's Jim Lee. He was like, "Hey, I like your art. I want you to come. I'm going to try you out and have you come down to my studio, come work for me." I said, yes, let's do it. So I went down to the front office of my apartment complex, and I told him, hey, I have to leave. I have to break my lease because I have a job that's coming and I have to fly out of here. I was in Miami at the time.
Yeah.
I said, I have to leave and I have to head out there and I have to work. They said, you can't just break the lease and say, if you do, you have to pay the entire thing. I say, how much do I owe? They said, you owe like, I think it was like $4,000 or $7,000 or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have that money. Where am I going to pay that all that up to you guys? And the lady looked at me like this.
Yeah, exactly.
And all that's going through my head is like, this woman is making about $4.50 an hour, and she's trying to stop me from building my future. It's not happening. It's not happening. So I looked at her. I told her, thank you. I went back to my apartment. I looked at my roommate. Pack your stuff. You're leaving. Pack your stuff. You're leaving. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. My roommate was like, okay. And then that was it. It was that easy. And then we cleaned out our apartment, made sure it was spotless, rented a U-Haul, threw everything in there. I took my stuff from my mom's house, jumped on a plane, and I left. And then next thing you know, it showed up in my credit report.
Oh yeah.
A couple years and a couple months down the road, they were looking for me, and I'm like, I'm done with this apartment. I'm just gonna leave. Like, so how are you gonna stop me?
You went all in, man. From just not only obviously that's a big commitment, like making that decision to leave, but just the fact that you were kind of approaching it like you already had the job. Yep. In the fact that you were working on your art dedicated for that 6-month period or whatever leading up to this.
Yep. I put a laser focus on it. I told myself, I'm going to get this job. And that was the only thing I did. I lived, eat, and breathe comics. That was it. And I made sure I was getting it.
It's interesting because Jim has a similar story. I remember hearing that Jim kind of did the same thing when he decided he was going to do it. He treated it like a job and would get up in the morning, start drawing, draw all day, go to bed, get up, start drawing, Yep. Yeah, that level of commitment and focus, it is one of these things where people ask the secret, what's the secret to getting good at this or to breaking in and this and that? And it's like, well, number one, you got to be willing to put in that dedication, that work and that time, right?
Yep. That's true. Yeah. You have to.
So you're packed up. You got, how did you convince your roommates? Was it easy to convince them? They're like, hey, we're out of here, guys.
Well, we were all struggling to.
Okay.
And my roommate was you remember I mentioned Sean Ruffner? Yeah. It was his girlfriend at the time. Okay. So I was roommating with her, and I told her, hey, you move back with your parents. And then my ex-girlfriend was there too. Okay. So I told her, you're moving back with your parents. And both of them said, okay, great. It was kind of like, the Three's Company, type that TV show. It was me and two girls, bunking together, Yep. It was like that. And she was like, okay. It was that easy.
Wasn't too much resistance then.
It was zero resistance.
And then you're on a plane.
Yep.
And it had to be so surreal. Like, did you believe it was actually Jim when he called you? Did you have that little double take moment? Or
well, no, I knew it was Jim. When he mentioned Jim, I had no reason not to believe him. I just knew it was him, and he told me after he spoke, he basically told me he's going to have someone else call me, and this was before email.
Yes.
This was before email was around. So he was like, he'll have someone call me, and then they'll get me a plane ticket and everything. And they got me the plane ticket. They flew me out. It's been history ever since.
Now this was in the fairly early days of Wildstorm.
Yes. Yeah. This was in 1993.
Yeah.
When this happened. So
we're still in the prime kind of image boom time where all the studios, like, Wildstorm and Extreme and all them are like doing their talent hunts and trying to bring on new artists and things.
Yes. It was all in that era. I think I was part of the second wave. Brett Booth, Scott Clark, Trevor Scott, Sandra Hope, they were all part of the first wave. And I was part of the second wave. I came in with Dan Norton, Travis Charest, Who else was there? There were a couple of the
Was
people. I can't think.
Richard Friend there
Richard,
at that
Richard.
time?
No, I think he came in with me. He came in that wave with
Okay,
me. He either came in like the same year or maybe a couple months or something before me.
gotcha.
But he came in. Yeah, so we were all there, and so imagine going to the studio and the Scar Clark's over there, Jeff Campbell's over there, Travis
Yeah.
Charest is over there, I'm sitting there, Brett Booth is over there, Jim Lee's over there, we were all just sitting together and just drawing comics.
Little side tangent. It's interesting you mentioned Dan Norton because Dan's from here, and I used to take a little drawing class from him that he taught out at one point. McFarlane owned or co-owned two comic shops here in Washington called Spider's Web Cards and Comics, and there was one in Federal Way, and Dan would do a little drawing class a couple days a week out there. So I'd go and hang out, and he would critique our drawings and show us kind of all the stuff that you ignore when you're a young artist, like, oh, this structure thing, oh, these gestures. I just want to draw this cool big guy with all this rendering, no foundation.
No
right?
foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have a few of his drawovers he did for me or examples he did for me. So that's really cool. Like, you guys are all in there, and it had to be, now that you've arrived, there had to be a lot of learning on the job that took place.
Yeah, it's nonstop. I mean, because when I came in at that time, so Silvestri was there. Silvestri, Nick Manabat was there.
So that's before they split.
Yeah, this was
Top
before.
Cow, right?
Yeah, Top Cow split with Wildstorms. Because at that time it was Homage Studios,
Yes.
and so I came in and they were all there. And I mean, can you imagine coming in and there's Mark freaking drawing Cyber Force right there. It's like mind blowing. The pages. I'm like, I just saw this in the comic game. I come to the studio and the originals was sitting right here. It's like that. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. It was pretty nuts.
So I have some of your early stuff you did for Wildstorm, and I know you because you've shown samples and things just so everybody can see, like, hey, this is where I started, and so you get in there and you're at Wildstorm. What's the first thing that they kind of put you on to hone your skills?
Well, day one, Jim was like, just sit and draw whatever. So I just sat and they had like stacks of blank boards, and I just grabbed a couple and started drawing. And then Jim came back and he was like, hey, here's a character. I want you to draw this guy. And it was Brass.
Oh yeah.
The character Brass. So he told me to draw Brass. I still have that original sitting somewhere in my stash of art. I still have that.
Nice.
So Jim was like, just draw Brass. I started drawing. And then after that, that's when they came to me and they said, okay, we want you to, we're going to put you on a book called a Soldier Story. And they wanted me to draw the pages for that. So Jim did a really quick layout and he told me, okay, here's the script, start drawing. And I started drawing. And, he would come by and supervise us up to checks. It was kind of nerve wracking at the time. Because Jim was watching me, while I'm drawing. So it was kind of like that. And then eventually they put me on Gen 13-0. And then right after that, that's when I did Union.
Yep.
No, I think I did. I did Union.
Union, yeah.
And then right after that, that's when I jumped into the Grifter series and I started doing that. So it took a little bit of time for me to get better and better.
Yeah. And Jim is right there, kind of. It sounds like he was very accessible as far as kind of mentoring the artists that were in there, the younger artists.
Yeah. I mean, he was. We all worked in the same area, so
yeah,
we all saw each other all the time, every day.
Well, it's really cool because I feel like I feel like you've carried a lot of that over with what you do because, I'll speak for myself, and I know my friend siyaoum, she's always spoken very highly of you, how much you've helped her. You've always helped me at any con I come to. I'm having trouble drawing something. You break out your paper and you demonstrate, and you're carrying over that kind of mentoring role on a larger scale because I've seen you help a lot of people. Did you kind of like take a little bit of inspiration from what Jim did with you guys in that regard?
Definitely. One of the things that really stuck to me was, I'd say about once a year, Jim would pull each one of us into his office and just rip our arms out, or rip our legs off, put us in a headlock.
Yeah.
I'm talking proverbially. So,
Yes.
he would do all this stuff, and we would walk out of that office and we didn't even feel like drawing anymore. We were like, oh God. It's like, you walked out of feeling like your art is crap and you have to improve,
Right.
so you're forced into this situation of getting better and better and better. So I picked up a little bit of that. So now when I critique people, I learned, you can't soft foot it. You have to, you got to get in there. You have to chop them up. You can't sugarcoat it. You got to let people know this is off. This is bad. I do it today to my kids. My kids are like, my daughter's like, oh, look, the good dad. Look, because she did this little cute picture. I was like, your lines are horrible. Go fix it. And she would look at me like, I'm like, yeah, go fix those horrible lines.
Like, this one's not going up on the fridge.
Not getting past me on this one. So I'm gonna push her.
Well, that brutal honesty, it's definitely, I think it's important, especially for people that are trying to get into the comic book industry, because better to have somebody you respect as an artist, tear you apart and give you that input than maybe editor or something that doesn't really understand art. So I think there's got to be that benefit to having somebody with your pedigree or your portfolio, whatever you want to call it, to be able to give that, because you're speaking from experience.
I am. And this is important. When I speak and I critique people, I'm not speaking from a high horse. I am speaking, this is just pure experience that I'm giving you. And if the energy I'm giving you, I've sort of expected back, meaning if someone looks at my art and they want to rip my art apart, trust me, I'm not going to take it to heart. I know my craft. So when you rip it apart, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm seeing something that someone else is seeing. So that means I have to improve that. So that means now I know I'm going to be like, thank you. I'm going to put that on the back of the shelf, and I promise I'm going to keep an eye out for it as I'm drawing on the next one and the next one and the next one. So you're
still trying to evolve and improve constantly, as well, just like anybody else, constantly. Right?
Yeah. When I'm 90 years old, art. That's the thing about art. You never stop learning, ever. AI is total proof of this. You're just never going to stop learning how to expose yourself and draw, and the competition that's out there. It's constantly changing, constantly evolving. So you have to stay on your toes.
Yeah. You have to stay on your toes, and I'm sure like you probably push yourself outside your comfort zone quite often too to help spur growth, right? Like,
yes.
That's something I've been trying to do with myself. I remember telling you I was like afraid to ink stuff and all of that because the permanent feeling of it. Mm-hmm. But now I'm like, okay, that means I need to practice inking more, and now it's like the inking's starting to look somewhat nice. So now I'm like, I'm afraid to put color on stuff. Maybe I should play around a little bit with color.
It's good to practice all that behind the scenes, but don't put any of that in your portfolio, because if it's shaky, it's rocky, I guarantee it's going to bring your portfolio down.
Absolutely.
But keep practicing it. When you go home and you want to ink, go practice inking. You want to color, go practice coloring, because that's the only way you're going to get good at it. You're not going to get good at it by watching videos and just kind of hoping one day it kicks in. You need to get in there and do the groundwork That's the only way you're gonna get good.
And I'm assuming you would recommend a aspiring creator to, pick an area of focus. Like, hey, I want to be a penciler, so I'm mainly working on my penciling and presenting, that as the majority of what's in my portfolio.
Yep.
And not being all over the place with, really great pencils, but now here's some subpar inks I put over my pencils that made it look like garbage.
Yeah. So yeah, you definitely want to put a laser focus on what you want. And I always recommend and tell people, you want to practice everything, but put a laser focus on one specific thing, because that's what's going to get you a foot in the door. If you want to be an inker, put a laser focus on inking, but don't stop penciling. Just keep practicing your penciling, because you still have to understand how to ink pencils, and you have to understand form, because there are some inkers out there that don't understand form because they don't pencil. They don't understand lighting and shading and texturing because they don't pencil. So if you don't understand it, then you won't. You're inking a rock, and you're inking a tree, you're inking hair. You're going to ink it all the same. And you can't. So you have to think about, what am I inking? What's going on here? Is this a shirt, or is this metal? You have to think of these things. So it's just part of the game, so.
Yeah. And you definitely carried over this mentoring into something really cool in the Comic Pro Boot Camp.
Mm-hmm.
Now that started as an in-person type of thing that I was super sad I couldn't make it to for all these years, because it's in San Diego and usually around Comic-Con time and everything. Did the seed of inspiration from that come from the demand you were seeing for a resource like that being available, where people could, be around the pros and get their work torn apart and all of that?
That was probably the earliest seed of it, but it didn't really kick in until one day. I think it was in the early days of Facebook. I put out a message, and I said, "Hey, I'm looking for 5 students," and I told them, I'm looking for 5 students, 5 people who wants to draw comics. I will review their work, blah, blah, blah. Send me your portfolio. I had 200 people send me stuff in 24 hours. And I'm like, yeah, I think there's something out, there's some hunger out there, something. So that's what started my brain cooking. And then later on, it really didn't start cooking in until I had this really cool idea to expand, and hey, let me create a platform where I'm teaching stuff. And then I pitched that to some people know who he is, but I pitched it to John Nee, and John Nee was like, "That's the best idea you've ever had," and then that's all I needed to hear. Nice. And then I took off, and I called Wills. He was the very first person I called, and I was like, "Hey, Wills, this is something I've been thinking about doing. I just spoke to John about it, blah, blah, blah." And Wilson's like, "Hey, I used to teach in the Philippines. I had a school," blah, blah. And I was like, "So."
Yeah. I was going to say, he probably had a little experience, because I remember he was doing that over in the Philippines. He was doing like some art instruction.
Yep. That's how he found Linyo Yu and a couple of the artists, So I was like, "Hey, dude, let's put our heads together and let's build this." And he said, "Yeah, let's do it." And then that's when I contacted Alex and Claire next, and then Alex was like, "Yeah, I used to teach too," and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So he came on board, and then I got a hold of Carlos Diana, and Carlos was like, "Yeah, I'm down, Benjamin." He calls me Benjamin all the time. Yeah. So he's like, "I'm down, Benjamin. Let's do it." So he came on board, and then so it was us 4 kind of doing the thing. So
you kicked it off, and how was the in-person response when you did your first in-person get-together? Did it fill up very quickly?
Oh yeah, it filled up quick. I was kind of nervous, like, oh man, how many people are going to sign up for this? But people signed up, and we had a good amount of people. I think I'm possibly, I think we had like 24 people that signed up for this class. And I was shocked like how many people we had. And then we had a student that flew in from Canada with her dad. She's like
Wow.
15 or something, and her dad and her brother flew out here, and she was taking a workshop while they were running around. This was in LA.
Yeah.
While they were running around in LA doing stuff. And then I think we had someone from Australia that flew in for this.
That's amazing.
Some people from Mexico, they flew in for this, and they came in just to hang out. But a good amount of people came straight from LA and a couple other the other areas. We had people from the East Coast for like other classes. They flew in other parts of the country. They would come in and they want to take the workshop. So,
do you find that instructing helps you improve as an artist? Because
absolutely.
I know for me with jiu-jitsu, when I started teaching jiu-jitsu, I saw jiu-jitsu in a whole different light, and it also makes you have to be honest with yourself, because I remember back when I was like a purple belt teaching jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, I caught myself at one point, like I'm telling them, okay, you need to do this detail and this here and this fundamental, and then I'm thinking, I'm like, I kind of skipped some of those things. I'm not doing the thing I'm telling them to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And the cool thing is that when you're breaking down the steps, you get to reflect on it and reflect on it, and you get to modify it. You're like, oh, this is a cool way. How about they twist it this way, and then you fine tune it. You start to throw away stuff that doesn't work, and you start to keep the stuff that works. And you're like, this is it. This is the core of it. Focus on this part and then everything else is just an adaptation or your interpretation of this. That's literally what it came down to.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, definitely. I get inspired by like I tell everybody, like I enjoy sparring with white belts, because sometimes white belts will try stuff I never even thought of because they don't know it's wrong. But sometimes they do something really cool and you're like, oh, I might take that for myself and implement it in my game, Yeah. There's a lot of crossover between martial arts and art. As you know, we've talked about before, you got a little background in martial arts as well.
Yeah. So 20 years in Muay Thai. 20 years.
So you see those correlations as well. When it comes to the boot camps, it started out in person, but then inevitably it had to scale to be able to reach people across the world. So how many of the in-person, camps had you done prior to opening up and developing that idea for the online?
The one.
Okay.
We did
right
one
away.
And then we knew like, okay, yeah, we need to push this. And while we were planning to do that, we were in communications. That's when COVID hit. So we were literally forced into the online thing. We're like, we have no choice. We have to immediately do it.
Had to pivot.
Yeah. So we went towards that route, and we had about 3 years to sort of perfect it, because there was a lot of trial and error.
Yes.
So we did what we had to do. We did it back to back in certain times. So we would do it, take a month off, do it again, take a month off, do it again, kind of like that. And then eventually, after about 3 years of doing that, we had tons of archived footage and all this material. And we have plans to do something with it, but basically, we had to come back in person, because when the restrictions started to lift off, we're like, okay, it's time to bring it back in person. We came back in person, and it was still moving strong. It was this hunger that's out there. It's still there. That's the thing I learned, at this hunger is never going to die. It's never going to go away. No matter what happens to the industry, to the direction of comics, the hunger will always be there. So you have to feed it.
Yeah. And you even have people, like me, who's, kind of gave up on that dream of being a professional comic book artist for my livelihood due to my path in life changing and getting the jujitsu, jujitsu school and doing that full time, and that my branch in my timeline went. But you got guys like me who are, I'll be 48 this year, and I still have that drive and that want to get on there and do the classes. So it's really true. It's not something that I don't think is ever going to go away. If the person has that passion for art, they're gonna. There's always going to be that demand, right?
Yeah, it's always going to be there. The passion was around back in the Michelangelo days.
Yeah.
I mean, these Renaissance artists they've always been there. If you think about it, and this is something I learned, because I went to Italy and I went to a ton of different museums, and after going from tour to tour to tour, you start to learn and start to pick up on certain things, and you start to see this pattern that back then there wasn't much to do. So art was pretty much like a craft that you would have like a ton of people doing, and there were all these masters that are out there that no one even knows who they are. And there's all these amazing sculptures. And this was developed by this person, and no one knows who it is. And then there's one or two of them, or like say 10 of them that are like the extreme masters that stand out of the rest. But if you look at the others, they're pretty much on par with them. So you like, there must have been like the amount of carpenters they were there, and all these different people that were just, because that's all they had to do was just make stuff. That was it. So when you're exposed to that, you don't have the internet, you don't have access to other modern technologies. You're forced into this specific craft and you master it, So that's what it's always been there. The hunger has always been there. It's just that it's evolved and it's changed depending on the technology and the craft and the need for it. And so it's been going all the way till today. You'll see it. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. That's why I say, when I'm 90, I'm still going to be learning, and the things I'm teaching today, I'll still be teaching it at 90, because it's going to be the same technique, the same thing Michelangelo and Renoir and all these guys did back when they were doing their stuff. Salvador Dali back in the day. All these things. We still use it to this day.
Yes.
You still use it, it's never going to change.
We still use it. And, through things like what you've created, the accessibility to the instruction and the mentoring is, I mean, in the times we live in, there's so much accessibility and the availability of art courses and everything else to continue to feed that passion.
Exactly.
And, the next evolution of the boot camp is now you did a successful Kickstarter, and we got the books and things coming.
It's in production, so it's coming. Yeah. So you guys will see. I just had a meeting just the other day about it. So we have like pretty much like weekly meetings about this stuff. So but basically, it's coming. It's in production. We're a couple weeks away from finalizing everything. So you guys will enjoy it. You'll see when it comes out. So
yeah, you put a lot into it. I saw that little preview book you had with you at the con. So that's now for this, was your idea with it that, because the classes fill up, like the online course fills up like pretty dang quick, and so you have people that haven't necessarily been able to get in on one of the online courses or the in-person courses. So was the idea behind this to be able to provide those people with some access as well?
It's a little bit of everything.
And to supplement what they're doing if they are in the online.
Yeah. So it's to give people like a chance to see, basically what we teach. But you're not just learning it from us four, you're learning it from 12 other professionals that's in the industry. And we have plans to do another series, which we're going to have another 12 artists that's going to come in and give their input. And I already have a list of people that's going to be there. I won't reveal the names, but you'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
But
Nice.
basically, the heart and soul of this is that we can all learn art anywhere. Okay, we can go to school. There are tons of books that's out there, and you will learn, 400 ways to draw a finger. Okay, we're not teaching that. We're teaching to eliminate all the other stuff, all the noise, and focus on the core of this. These core tools and core techniques we're teaching, you will carry this over and over and over and over to anywhere you go, any industry, any forum that's out there that you need to plug yourself into and practice or learn or experience or experiment or whatever it is. So you will see that these core techniques is what we use every single day when we're drawing comics, because you're telling a story at a fast pace, and you're telling a visual story at a fast pace. So you have to be able to break it down and break it down in a specific way. And then once you learn how to apply one layer and then the next layer and then the next layer and then the next layer, then you start to see your comic come to life. So we're showing you the cores of those layers. That's basically what we're doing. Because we use this every single day when we're drawing comics, when I'm doing covers, whatever we're doing. It just covers everything from writing to penciling to inking, to coloring. So you'll get a wide range of techniques.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're definitely speaking from experience because you are doing this every day.
Every day.
We were chatting a little bit before we started recording. Like, you stay very busy. You do a lot of work, and I think, as I predicted, I said, I think it's because you're so fast. You end up taking on probably more, maybe than you should sometimes, but what can you talk about that you're working on right now? Because I know, there's probably stuff that has not been announced that you can't talk about, but what are you working on right now that you are able to talk about?
So I am working with Frank Miller right now. I'm the very, very tail end of this project. There's a book that they announced the book last year, so I can talk a little bit about it. So you guys will see this new book that's coming out, which I think it will be out by like the end of this year. You guys should
Nice.
see it. And there's a couple other projects here and there that I'm working on. One of them is called Dead Samurai. So I'm working on that one, and I'm still closing that one out too. So I'm almost done with that. But I'm also prepping right now as we speak to get back onto Vampire Hunter D.
Nice.
So the fans of Vampire Hunter D who's seen the first series that I worked on, there's a new batch that we're coming out with, and so you guys will see the new books that's coming out for that. So
Yeah, so you've got your own creator, driven ideas, your projects you're doing for other publishers. Do you take on commissions too? I know you do at cons, but in general, do you keep a commission list going? Or?
Yeah, I have a commission list, and sometimes I can knock out those commissions fast, and sometimes people have to wait 2 months. It's just I'm just too busy, so you got to wait a little bit just before you can get it. 2 months or longer. I can't lie about that one. But yeah, so it can take a little bit of time. It really depends on my schedule, on what's going on, what I'm working on, how much time I have to dedicate to certain thing. Like I just finished a commission last night because I had an extra 2 hours. I was like, all right, let me just knock this out. So I just kind of knocked it out. It really depends.
When it comes to, I alluded to you being fast. I think to give the listeners and the viewers an idea, Ryan I remember you said on one of the online classes, you alluded to the Frank Miller project, and you said you were so excited about it. I think you said you had done like 3 or 4 pages in one 4 pages in one session one day because you were so excited about the project.
Yeah, I was super excited. Like, let's just keep going. So I started drawing like 8 in the morning, and it's 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, whoa! I just did 4 pages in one day. This is nuts.
That's
It
crazy.
just kept going and kept going. So
That's like the stuff of legends, because we hear about Jack Kirby doing stuff like that and some other artists, but that's 4 is a lot, man. Most people are lucky if they can do 1 in a day.
yeah, this I've done it. That's a good pace for me. I've done an entire comic in a week before.
Wow.
Actually, five days took me 5 days, and I had a whole comic finished. Um, so I can move fast when I need to. When the fire's on, I'm like, I gotta get cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can move pretty fast, especially at conventions when I'm drawing for people. So.
When it comes to working on a project, would your preference be to go a little slower with it, or is it sometimes you're just so motivated you gotta knock it out, you gotta get the ideas out of your head? Is it a little combination of both?
Yeah, it really depends. There are times when my brain is cooking, and I'm really into it, and no one's disturbed me for the past couple hours, and I don't want to be disturbed for the next couple hours, and I keep going, keep going. That's when I'm like right in the core of the creative juices. So that's where I want to be. So when I'm there, and I just keep going. And I can knock out some pretty cool stuff. But then there are times when I'm like, I can't think of anything. My brain's not working. I can't. What am I going to do? I need some inspiration. So I'll try to find some mental breaks to go to something else. I'll go for walks. So sometimes I'll go to the gym. Sometimes I'll go to the beach. I've gone to the beach and drawn on the beach before. Like I got pages to finish, but I'll do it while I'm looking at the waves.
Right.
So I'll just draw on the beach and just hang out for a little bit. I've done it in parks. I've done it in the movie theater. While the movies are playing, I'm drawing.
You're drawing everywhere.
I'm drawing comics. Yeah.
Wow.
I've done it there. So
that's awesome, man. Well, I want to give you a chance here at the end to promote anything you would like to promote, and also let everybody know where they should be following you on social media and everything.
Okay, well, like I said, we're working on the Copper Bootcamp workbook, so keep an eye out for that. That one will be out this year, by the tail end of this year. So that's going to be super exciting. I'm excited for it, and I know for a fact there are a lot of retailers out there that's super excited for this. So get ready. I'm going to blow some minds on that one. Vampire Hunter D is coming out. I'm super, super excited about that one because I get to design a couple of the creatures that he's fighting in there. So
nice.
My brain is like, oh man, I can't wait. So I'm working on that. And I'm trying to stay true to the nature of Vampire Hunter D. So when you guys see it, hopefully I've hit that mark. And I travel to Japan a lot. So when I go there, I'm constantly researching and seeing where I can meet up with. And I actually, I know the original designer for Vampire Hunter D. So,
oh, nice.
So every time I meet him, he's always drawing a picture for me. He's also, the designer for Ninja Scroll and a whole bunch of other animes that's out there that people are like really into. So that's coming out. That's one of my paths. And also you can, if you want to get a hold of me, my Instagram is probably my number one place that you want to grab me or message me. It's at ryanbenjamin. That's my handle. I do have a Facebook that has the same handle, and Threads, and
all the
other various ones that's out there
that they tell us we need to get, and then it dies down.
Yeah, I know. I went through a phase where I'm like, I'm done with social media. I started cutting stuff left and right. And Ronnie's the only one I really look at is my Instagram. Like, don't mess with me on Facebook because you won't hear from me for 6 months.
I'm the same way. I don't even look at my feed.
Don't mess with me on Facebook.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, listen, I greatly appreciate you coming on because I know how incredibly busy you are. You were within my first 5 people I asked to come on the podcast. Here we are now. It's over a year in officially as of this month, and we're cruising in. We're coming up on 60 episodes soon.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I greatly appreciate you being here today. I would love to have you back on in the future, especially when we can talk more about this Frank Miller project and everything else.
Yeah,
we'll definitely have to make that happen. But hang out with me for a moment while I tell everybody where they can find the podcast. Everybody, you're listening, so you already found the podcast. Good job. If you like the podcast, you want to hit a like, a subscribe, a share with a friend, that would be awesome. You can watch the video version on YouTube, audio version on any major audio podcast platform. We have a lot of awesome guests lined up. Make sure you stick around, keep tuning in, and in the meantime, keep it nerdy. What's up, everybody? Once again, it is I, James, coming to you from the Nerdy Musings podcast studio. I am joined today, once again, well, you guys might not know that, my good longtime friend, Miss siyaoum. How you doing today, Sia?
What's up? You know, they say second time's a charm.
Yes. Hopefully a third time is not required. If it's a third time, it needs to be a returning follow-up from this episode.
Yeah, and not because my internet really crapped out on you. I'm sorry.
It could have been a combination of both. I was having issues on my end from time to time too, even though I have a wired connection and everything. Sometimes this technology can get really finicky.
Yeah, I know. So I don't feel like a complete noob.
No, you're good. Well, I was thinking, we've known each other well over 20 years now.
Yeah.
Easily.
I think 20, is it 24? Over 24.
It's gotta be.
We're hitting 25, I think.
We're giving away our age a little bit.
Call it 25 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's crazy to think it was that long ago. So we met, through our mutual love of comics and art and everything. And you were taking classes there, and I remember that you had you actually taught a drawing class there at one point, which I was bummed I wasn't able to take it.
I taught a drawing class.
Yeah, you're using air quotes there, but I mean, it was legit.
Was it legit? Because
I think it was legit.
Because I was, it's I wasn't a professional comic book artist yet, so I was just trying to get good at it. So when you're teaching people stuff and you're still trying to learn the process, you kind of feel like an imposter in a way, and there wasn't a robust internet YouTube where I could go search for how to do something so that I could go BS my way through it in class and teach all these high school kids how to draw a manga.
Yeah. How did that opportunity come about?
I think it was for one of the, digital design assignments. It was a final or something maybe where we had to do, it was like the video class. I think we had to do a tutorial of some sort.
Yeah.
And of course I'm going to go to do the most obvious thing to myself, which was draw on a whiteboard. And I guess Brian Martin remembered that. And he's like, you know what would be really good for this?
Yes. Yeah, it's so crazy to think. Like, it was cool because where we went to college, like, they kind of pioneered that design program. Like,
Yeah,
this
they
is
did.
back when, you know, web design and graphic design and all that was really becoming more prominent and becoming an essential field for people to get into. So, the college that Sia and I went to, they offered what was called the digital designs program, so you could get an associate's degree in digital design. And essentially, it was like a sampler platter. They didn't really like get you into they didn't give you enough to do any specific job really, but they kind of, what I liked about it is it gave you an idea to find direction of the areas you did like, right?
And I actually like that a lot. You're right, because if you think about being at a 4-year college, once you pick that path, you're kind of stuck in a way because you're paying for it, and whether or not you do anything with that at the end of the day is hard. But I think the 2-year program was perfect because it was a smorgasbord of it was video editing, it was Photoshop and design class, and you had like Illustrator. So all these specific programs, and this was kind of early on with the software too.
Yes,
remember 3D
very
Studio
early.
Max, and what was the other one? It was 3D Studio Max, and what was the other program that
Was
was
it
really
Maya or
No, I wish it was Maya.
No, not Maya.
It was Lightwave.
Lightwave.
That program was such a pain in the butt.
You remember
but
the Lightwave book? It was like this thick.
I know. I'm like, and then we're supposed to do an assignment from it. I'm like, my eyes glazed over. I'm like, Chris, Tobias, help.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember sitting there and guys, this is back in the days before, you can get Blender on your home computer now and do 10 million times what we could do, and you can watch a real-time preview of what you're creating, like in real
and you
time.
can paint on your 3D models too, and it's like a ZBrush, but you can make it less poly so it's not so heavy and make it even bigger and heavier. And I was messing around with Blender, and I have it on my desktop still. I'm like, I got to go back and finish that Gundam unicorn that I was sculpting, and trying to
Blender
animate.
is so fun. Yeah, and this program, Lightwave, literally you do your project and then you would leave it overnight to render, and you would come back.
It might crash.
And it might crash. And on these, the top of the line PCs that the college had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on to be able to run half of this software, and you'd come back and sometimes it would just be completely crashed, or it rendered wrong and parts were everywhere, and then you're like,
because you forgot
tomorrow,
to.
what am I supposed to do?
Exactly, especially because if you forget to pull a poly, and you're in a rush to render it, and then you render it, you turn it around, and there's like this big.
Yeah.
Your square is not a square; it's actually like a city block.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to admit something publicly here. I think that was one of the only classes where I cheated a little bit, because I literally had one of my renders fail, and it was like right before the deadline. So somebody like copied their file, let me use it. I manipulated it, changed it a tiny bit, and we were good to go. But I didn't want to get a bad
hard because that's what I did. I did that too.
See? We're both admitting this is like therapy.
And we still talk to our instructor / friend. So, I mean, he's probably like, well, you made out okay after college, so I guess that's okay.
Yeah. We didn't, interestingly, we didn't end up in any of those fields, but I feel we have like a multitude of skill sets that we can utilize. So I think that was the really cool thing about it, because I can get into Blender and mess around, and I understand the language. I understand what things are. I can mess around with 3D modeling just because of the basic knowledge I got there. Or back in the day with web stuff, I could make
and
a
Adobe
website.
Premiere, right? And InDesign.
Premiere.
So those things, even though it was kind of vague, you just kind of understood the concept behind all those things. And so when you jump into a new program, you have the same basic understanding of it. So I think maybe if in fact, if someone ever wanted advice for art school, I would even advise like just go to your local college with the 2-year degree and just kind of dabble into some of this stuff, because all you really need is to be focused and concentrated on like the beginner stuff, you know. So
Yeah.
that's because I think okay, so it's video, it's web, and then it's like all in design and even accounting, I guess. And
Yeah.
and it was, remember, art history class and
Yep.
all those things. Those are so helpful for like all the, just like you're well-rounded as an artist, I think, or creative person. So
Yeah, I agree. So going into the college, did you, I think I know the answer, but I ask for the benefit of the audience, that did you know that comic art was the direction you were wanting to head in?
heck yeah.
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 Now, the college we went to, though, they didn't really have like any art classes that were well suited for that. Like, not many places did back then. I mean,
Except for
Kubert
Kubrick,
School,
was it? Yeah.
Kubert School was like the only one. And I remember yearning to be able to afford the correspondence course and not being able to.
How much? I mean, I don't want to ask how much it was, because
Oh, it was a lot.
it was a lot.
It was like, yeah, it was like, I want to say if it wasn't this much, it probably felt like that much to me, but I wanted to say it was like one course was like at least $1,000 or,
And was
or
this
something.
it was this live, or was it like via DVD or
Oh
something?
no, this was strictly books. So you would get the workbook,
I see.
and-
Okay.
and you would get the workbook and the VHS tape. You would
That's
get this
funny.
is before DVD. You get the workbook and the VHS tape of the course, and then you would do the assignments, and they gave you a prepaid envelope to mail them back, and then the instructors would do the critique,
Oh,
on a
that's
layer.
right. I remember seeing
Yeah,
that
they would do
somewhere.
a draw over on a tracing sheet or whatever with the corrections and their notes, and then you get it back, and that's how you did the course. So yeah, but I never could afford it. I was like, oh man.
Wasn't there, what was cool? And this is what I thought was really cool about my dad. I don't know if you remember that commercial on TV where it was like this, it's like a small, wide little, like newsprint kind of like booklet that my dad saw online. And what you do is they drew part of the animal or whatever, right? He's supposed to teach
Oh,
you how to
yeah.
draw stuff. And then it would help you extend the drawing. And my dad, for some reason, thought that it was so going to help me, even though, I mean, I didn't know that he cared. That when I got it in the mail, I was like shocked, because when you see something on TV and it shows up at your doorstep
Yeah.
as a kid, you're like, wow. And my dad actually thought that it was good for me to just keep drawing, which he's very traditional. Like, you don't think that he thinks outside of whatever he's doing, like, you got to go and make that money, blue collar.
Yes.
But then he just kept motivating me, and he probably didn't realize the monster he created when he would see books on the TV, and he likes to order things off the TV apparently.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, these books, it comes with like a starter, like encyclopedia, children's books and stuff. And it showed up, and I thought maybe it was a sample thing, but my dad actually paid money for it. But he never came up and said, hey, I bought this for you. And he didn't want to thank you. He was just like, here. Like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. That
Same
was
with,
his way of supporting.
that's so adorable. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But he created a monster.
He did create a monster. For sure he did. I mean, speaking of monster, he has 70, I think in the podcast from yesterday, my dad has like 75% of my comics right now.
Oh,
Because
that's
I didn't
amazing.
offload him. It's not like he's like, oh, I love my daughter, I'm just going to
Yeah,
hold on.
yeah.
He's like, I don't know what she's got going on here. I don't know what's in here. Then sometimes he'll call me and go, hey, could I get rid of this box right here? And I'm like, what's in it? He's like, I don't know. I'm like,
I don't know.
probably not.
Bunch
Don't
of
throw it away.
books.
It's going to be like #1 Marvel covers that I did. They're like 1 in 50 or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which-
don't do that, Dad. Please
He's
save
got my
that.
Spider-Gwen, I'm pretty sure, still.
Oh man.
I know it's
Well, it's
Spider-Woman.
nice. It's nice that you're letting him. It's nice that he's storing that stuff for you, though, even though he might not know what he's got there.
I don't know if it's just, it'd be so much work for him to try to like, figure, move it around, because there's so much. You know how it is. Look at your bookshelf.
Yes.
Mine is just what you have there, plus all the other old artwork I did from
Yeah.
back in the day, which you have one piece of. And
do.
that's super exciting. That's why I was excited to talk to you, because it's like,
I might show that on the stream because
I'm not gonna. I won't hate you if you did, because sometimes I'm like cringe.
I had a feeling that it was related to the project we're going to talk about today, because I know that's been in the works for
20 years, dude.
pretty
since
much
I've known you, basically.
most of the time we've known each other. So we'll get to that in good time. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your start in what got you on the artistic journey. So I know for some people, like a lot of the artists I talked to, it was like stuff they saw in cartoons or or just that they were creative and they just always remember drawing in one form or the other. So for you, how did you get that start, and what's your earliest memory of when your passion for art really began?
You know, it's funny because like I always go back to this one thing my dad did in Thailand. He was a teacher and he drew this flower on the chalkboard, and I was, you know, I was probably like 4 years old, and to see that for some reason I'm like, it looks like magic.
Yes.
And then of course I did that. I mean, that's the only memory I have of it, of that being that early. And then when I came to the States, I think it was watching bits and pieces of She-Ra, a little bits and pieces of Supergirl, like the older movie with I forgot her first name is like something Slater.
Right.
And
I know who you're talking. Yeah.
And I was like, you just constantly drawing, you know. And it wasn't until I was in like 4th grade or something, my dad took us to get comic books because my younger brother wanted comics, and it was somewhere near you know where the bowling alley is and Lucky's Pizza or something like that in Tacoma. And after that, like I was hooked basically because I got the Swamp Thing, and then my brother got Wolverine the Crunch Conundrum. I think Sylvester is drawing that one with the Mojo. I want to say Mojo Jojo, but oops. So Mojo and Spiral. So that's what I remembered. And then I remembered flipping through, and you know they have the ads for the Jim Lee T-shirts with Psylocke. And, and it was from X-Men 1, and I was like, okay, I want to do this. Like that looks so amazing. The way that he did the composition, and her physique was so powerful. It was a powerful pose. I don't know if he realizes when he did that, like how big of a deal that was going to be.
Right.
And ever since then, I just basically copied all the stuff that was in the X-Men 1 in terms of like trying to make it look like Jim Lee's art. And so that was my earliest like attempt. And then I would start drawing like the Street Fighter characters that would be in the EGM magazines with all the, so I would just take other art and just try to do it with like colored pencil, stuff like that.
So like many of us, you kind of learn through copying
repetition,
at first.
Copy. You have to, I think.
I think so, yeah. No, it's funny you say that about seeing the drawing that your dad did, because for me, that's my earliest memory.
Aww.
Was my mom doing little drawings for me. And thinking it was like magic that she could do that. And then like, I want to be able to do that too. That's so cool. So yeah, that's a very unique memory to have. So that's cool shared memory there with our parents and having. So
I wonder if that's how it starts.
I don't know because my mom's always been very creative, but she's like a crafter, seamstress type of person. She has a lot of different varied artistic talents, and I remember she would draw like maybe my little stuffed teddy bear or something, draw a picture of him doing something or whatever it may be. Cool. And I would just think it was like, how can she do that? That's so amazing.
So it was so you knew it was your bear, so that's probably why it felt like magic. Because if she drew some random thing, it probably wouldn't feel the same way as she took whatever I see here and she transfuse it into this like piece of paper and
just
stuff.
Being able to do it out of her imagination and I just wanted to figure out how that was done and be able to do it myself. So it's a very special memory, and I found some of my old drawings probably from back then when I was trying to draw. Yeah, like I was trying to draw the teddy bear and stuff. So
aww,
yeah,
that's gotta be so cool.
Yeah, my parents saved all my old crappy drawings.
Not my parents. If I didn't save them, they wouldn't have saved them.
And they saved all my art assignments from the college and stuff too, from the art classes. So
I remember those. I wonder where mine are.
I have a ton of portfolios with all that stuff. I'll probably end up getting rid of, but it's like, it's kind of cool to have. And,
I think so. It's memories, right? But my poor dad has to hold on to all my memories for me. Because we never, well, obviously we don't live in the cabin anymore, and we're renting it out. So there's literally no way for me to take all my stuff out of his house into this apartment right now. It's so much smaller. Yeah. So I'm going to have to do better in terms of getting a bigger space to take all my own stuff back so my dad could free up room for an actual bed.
There you go. Yeah, that would be good. So it started with the copying and drawing inspiration from, like you said, the cartoons, and then also seeing Jim Lee and all this iconic stuff that people that came up in that generation of comics, like especially people that are drawn to art. We always talk about Jim Lee and seeing that first X-Men stuff and just being blown away. From there, what type of direction did you take as far as like, okay, I'm going to really buckle down and work on my skills here? Did you start getting more direction in where you wanted to take it, as far as, did you seek out art classes? Did you look for more resources? Because that's still in the very early stage of like internet and stuff. We didn't have like...
Yeah, we didn't have those.
I mean, there was forums and things.
Yeah,
some
it wasn't
of the
a whole
old,
lot though.
but nothing like a resource where you could look and see like process. Now you could go on YouTube and spend 20 years and never run out of process videos. Like,
Agreed.
Actually being able to see how your favorite artist does what they do.
Right.
We didn't have that back then.
No, we didn't.
So for you, how did you kind of put the pieces together and start to take your skills to the next level? What was your process with that?
Well, I think, because I never stopped buying comic books throughout middle school and high school, it was always easy for me to like, because the more I copied, let's just say, the more I'd want to do my own poses. And then, so there was like that, like you get like that adrenaline rush from like, finally it looks the way in my head it kind of wanted it to. So I thought.
Right.
So I kept going with that. And then of course, all the art classes that were available in school, every time there was an art class available, I would always sign up for those. And then I was like I vaguely remembered being like I was like the head of the art club after school. So I don't know if I was much of a leader, but I was like, well, at least I get to do this and I could stay after school and draw some more.
Yeah.
And we always had like the group of kids in class that was actually good at drawing. And so we always kind of like bounced off each other, and there was that competitiveness already at that point. So you basically understand the environment. And remember those Wizard magazines that would have all the cool behind the scenes stuff? And I would read them over and over and look at the pictures, and I'd be like, oh, that's kind of like me in high school with all my friends, or, whatever. And we would always talk about like comics, games, and animation and stuff. So there was always that outlet, and I never stopped. No one never told me to stop. So I just kept going. And and then when there was conventions in Seattle, and I heard that editors actually read or look at portfolios, I actually prepped mine for David Wohl when he was at Top Cow at the time, and he was the first editor to look at my stuff. I was nerve-wracking, but it was the most amazing experience of my life. In fact, I texted David last night, and I was like, thank you so much for helping me out. It means so much to me. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, him and Vince, like, they really took me in,
Yes, definitely. You can take a moment.
Yeah, I was like, I think I swallowed wrong. It just feels funny to.
I'll edit it. Don't worry.
No, it's okay. You could. I can make that.
I don't want you choking.
Yeah.
I don't want that live.
Especially after talking about David Wohl and I cough.
Yeah. She got choked up, David. Maybe I'll leave this in. Now she's gonna blow her coffee out her nose. We can make a blooper reel.
That almost happened when you said that. I'm like, here it comes.
Yeah, Top Cow, man. That's they had so many superstars, and we can't talk about Top Cow without talking about Michael Turner. And I know you never got to I remember talking before, I don't believe you ever got to meet Michael.
I met him, but I didn't work with him. I met him one time.
You didn't work with him.
As a fan.
You got to meet him, but you didn't get to work with him. But his work, like, especially back in the beginning stages, early in your career with your style, you could see how much
100%
influence Michael
maybe
Turner had on you.
Not 100, because I was trying a little bit of Benitez, and I was still kind of hungover from the Jim Lee, and so there was like that thing that was happening. He was kind of funky.
Yeah,
and
Benitez also, like, crazy work.
He
And
is still
you've gotten
insane.
to dabble in all those realms.
Yeah, I was like, bucket list, childhood dreams happening.
Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk a little bit about your early work, your early stuff with Top Cow that you got to do, because you've done, like, you did some Fathom stuff, right? And then I know for Joe, you've done like Lady Mechanica and stuff like that. So what's some of your earliest, let's just talk about your earliest work in general as far as published work.
I just remember this yesterday. I did like a short, I think it was either 5 or 8 pages of a Zenoscope Grim Fairy Tales
pretty
story.
sure I own it. Pretty sure I
is
own
it Little Boy Blue or something, right? Wasn't it?
Something, yeah.
Something like that. I can't believe I remembered that. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. Because I think he was like, oh, yeah, it's way different than the Rockefellers, Francis and Pete Tomasi story. I'm like, yeah, I know you're right. It is way different.
Way different.
But that was like, that was my first published gig, was with, is it Christina Beranek, I think?
Right.
Wrote the first story. And then after that, I started doing like pinup artwork of like Aspen for the Aspen swimsuit.
Yeah.
Fathom swimsuit, or Aspen. And so I did a couple pinups, and then I did a few of those every now and then. And then I got I got to work on, remember the Heroes TV show? They had like a web series for that, or like a tie-in. And I would do those like once a week, which I was horrible at. Like, I was great at first, and all of a sudden there would be one week where I was trying to do all these different, got contacted by a publisher to do something else. I was doing so many different things, I just fell flat on my face.
You got
and
that was
my first biting off more you could chew. And I think I started. I completely forgot. I did colors for wasn't it like a Justice League? And it was with he passed away a while ago. I forgot his name off the top of my head, but he was the one I colored for. I was just the assistant colorist, whatever. And so we jumped in, and so I was doing that at first. And I remember that was the early day of my career. So I'd go online. I'm like, oh, so excited! This is one of my first gigs. And then people are like, oh, well, it's a fill-in artist, and I'm like, oh, okay, well. And they would critique my coloring and stuff. I'm like, oh, that sucks, but it was cool. I still got to do it.
Still cool, yeah.
But that was my first foray into criticism online and critique online, and then learning to take it with a grain of salt at that point. So,
well, hopefully you learned that early on, because it's a lot more
intense.
Intense now. Intense is probably a mild way of putting it.
Understatement.
Yeah, that's an understatement of this century. So, Top Cow, we've got the early work, and then talk about your first like extended run or mini series that you got to do with Top Cow.
So it was actually
because you did a few issues, like concurrent
Fathom.
issues. It was Fathom, right?
Yeah, it was Fathom with Ron Mars, and that was, I think it was 8. It was either 6 or 8 issues of when I was actually the main artist, and that was dream come true, obviously. And I was like, I was all over that. So that was the first and only one. And like right now, I think I'm at a point where I would love to, because every time I go to convention, I would always talk to Mark, and I'd be like, yeah, it'd be cool to do something with Top Cow, finally, that I would want to do like Witchblade or something. But at this point, I'm really glad that my friend Giuseppe Gaffaro is doing Witchblade, and that he's like the best. You think I'm a fan? Giuseppe's got Michael Turner's either signature or Soulfire tattooed on himself.
Wow.
I think he's going to take the cake for that one. So right now, the person drawing Witchblade is probably the best person to draw Witchblade, in my opinion.
His work is phenomenal.
It's amazing. He's grown so much as it is. So it's like really cool to see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe someday I'll do Witchblade like I wanted.
I like how she just says Mark. She's talking about Mark
Silvestri. Mark with a C.
The giant.
He's literally a giant compared. Yeah,
he's
you
like
guys
6'8".
are tall.
He's like 6'8". I'm like 6'5".
I've only ever spoken to him when he's sitting down.
Yeah, he's friggin' tall, dude.
I'm
he's
glad
like
he can stand up. He's like, I see him. Like, okay.
It's funny when you don't realize some of the, because on video you can't really tell, like a lot of times on webcam and stuff, like or when people are sitting down.
Yeah, I look taller than you, which is ironic.
It's always funny when I'm sitting down because I have a very short torso. I'm like all legs. So when I'm sitting down, like Amy is taller than me sitting down. And then I'll stand up and people are like, oh, crap.
You're just like, yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah,
no,
we got some tall boys in the comic world, man. You got Ryan Stegman's like 6'8".
How tall is Todd? Todd's pretty
Todd,
tall, right? McFarlane?
He's probably about, I think he's like 6'1", 6 foot, 6'1",
Oh, geez,
somewhere in there.
For me,
tall to you.
Yeah, anybody above 5'5", I'm like, oh, you're a giant.
And then V-Ken's another tall boy.
I forget, and so is Peter Steigerwald. Most of the time, because we're artists, when I see somebody, they're probably sitting down.
Yep. Exactly.
So it's like, oh yeah, they're my height.
Yeah.
And people are shocked at how short I am. I'm a shorty. So.
Peter, he was close with Michael.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they were very close, and has to be pretty cool. I'm sure you've gotten to talk to him about Michael and just the legacy that he's left behind. Like it's crazy when like I see like repurposed art and like sketches and like stuff I haven't seen coming out.
Oh, I know.
He
got
did
so much
stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we're still getting to enjoy a lot of his work. I just got that Marvel book that they did.
That's amazing, right?
Just poring over it,
So amazing. He drew some of the best looking my Batman and Spider-Man.
Yes.
In my opinion, and
Wolverine too. He did a really cool Wolverine.
That was awesome. I forget because he's got so many awesome pieces.
Yeah.
And then Peter, it's fun to talk about Mike with Peter, but then we end up in a crying fest every time we're at like the panel, the Aspen panel, and we're honoring Mike. There was one time we were talking. I don't think we could have held back crying. I think Frank's voice started shaking and it was rough. I mean, that was rough. And we were all there just mourning. And this was like maybe 10 years later when we were doing this. It was crazy, right?
There's definitely a hole, a void that was left in the comic industry, especially with the people whose lives that he touched in one form or another, whether directly or just through being inspired by his work.
Oh, I know.
Like I'm still inspired by his work to this day. I know you are. You're just truly one of those people that was just taken from us too soon. And also by all accounts, just an amazing human being. It's like a really good person.
If I'm being honest, I think a lot of the girls had a crush on Mike. When we
I'm
saw
sure.
him in the Wizard magazine,
dude.
I'm like that drawing is so pretty, and then I see who's drawing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yeah, totally.
That was like my high school crush.
Plus, and plus, like he was
that was
super
breaking
nice.
news, by the way. So
breaking news. And he was super nice too.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, by all accounts, like I've never heard a negative Michael Turner interaction story.
No,
so
he really cared. So
now, as far as other influences on your work, who else was up there? We know Jim Lee,
Joe
Benitez,
Michael
Benitez,
and of course David Finch was for a bit, but his style was the cross hatching looked so insane. I'm like, I can never do that. But I did draw a few things that I felt like was David Finch's.
And then he just said, "Hold my beer," and just did it on a whole other level with Skinbreaker. If we thought the rendering was scary to try to emulate before,
I know.
Now you look at that. And
I don't even bother now. I'm just like, nah, I'm pretty. Yeah, exactly. I think I was fangirling a couple of days ago. I guess he liked one of my drawings on my Instagram. I'm like,
amazing.
Oh my God, it's David Finch. Yeah, it's funny. I still get that way. You have to, right? Like if you're going to do this day in and day out, you have to find people that you admire. And obviously the most recent one right now would be like Matteo Scalera, Sean Murphy, and Eric Canetti. So a lot of the people I'm friends with, their styles are very distinctive. And I think I'm branching towards more of the distinctive styles right now because I'm trying to build my own. So I'm trying to be like, in my own lane in a way where I'm trying to draw less and less influence because I feel like at some point I do want to brand my own art in a way that it's very recognizable, consistency and stuff. So,
Eric's a great person to talk to about that because he was pushing the boundaries way back. I just had him on. I just had him on a few episodes ago.
He's amazing.
And we were talking about that and like how he didn't want to conform. And he's like, I was too arrogant. Like I didn't want to draw like everybody else. Yeah.
I'm just joking. No,
he kind of is. I mean,
love
it's
it.
in a healthy way, right?
Yeah.
Like ego is the impression you have of yourself. So like he knows what he can do.
Yeah. Which is everything.
Yeah, it's funny. He was one of the only people I've gotten like a negative comment on the YouTube video. It was like somebody's like, he's too arrogant, or something.
No,
He thinks he thinks he's too cool.
He's sarcastic though all the time.
Yeah, I commented. I said, to be fair, he kind of is really cool. And then they go, oh, well, he's too arrogant.
No. It's funny because I love when I watch the Ink Pulp podcast.
It's amazing.
I love his sense of humor. I love it so much. I love him and Sean and how they bounce off. And then Matteo would just come in and just completely torch him.
Yes.
And that personality, which I wonder if all three of them are going to be there tomorrow because I'm filming with them tomorrow. And I don't know if Matteo is going to be there. I know for sure Sean and Eric will be there. And I just love hearing the banter back and forth. I'm like, I'm just here for the entertainment, dude.
I'm trying to collect all the Ink Pulp guys. I've got Sean's coming on in December, and then I'm reaching out to Matteo and hopefully get him on here, because I absolutely love those guys. And it's like you said, it's the interaction.
Yes.
And you can tell
you need all three of them. You can't have one without the other because it's perfect.
And Jim Mahfood's good. He's on there a lot of times too. He's going to be coming on here soon.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, just the dynamic of how they play off of each other, and they're all such very close friends. Like
and talented.
Eric had a lot of very touching things to say about Matteo, so that was cool. Like
ironic.
He's like for all the crap I give him, he's like, he's such a good person.
Well, they're all like that. The only one that's
like
probably not like that exactly is Sean.
Said it's like the closest to a brother he has, and all of that. So that was cool.
Yeah, I remembered when Francis was on Manipul on the podcast, and then Matteo said something, and I guess they cut it into a short reel clip, and it was so hilarious. I'm like, oh my God, you're such a good sport, Eric.
Yeah. I
think it was about the hair or something.
Yeah. He's got such a quick wit too. He can just roll with it.
He's so good. No, he's really good. He's been mentoring me through this whole Kickstarter process. So he's like, however obnoxious you think you are, Sia, just push it 20 notches up. I'm like,
take it up a few notches.
I'm like, I don't know, brother. I don't know if I could do that. So.
Well, I want to talk about the Kickstarter, but before that, I want to talk into your venture into creator owned, because you had Lola with Image, your own.
Oh, you mean Aspen?
Sorry, with Aspen, yeah. You had that prior to this Kickstarter, so you've been in the realm of creator owned now for quite some time. Like you still do various covers and things like that, and I know you were part of the Lady Mechanica Kickstarter and stuff recently. You did like a piece in there, or a story in there. But creator owned, like I know a lot of the artists I have on all have a story. They're either dying to tell, or they've been dying to tell for a very long time. So take me back to the inspiration behind Lola.
Oh wow.
And then we will go into the new Kickstarter, which is the one that has been brewing for over 20 years now,
which
at
you're
least.
very well aware of. And
yes.
So Lola was like, it was around the time we were living in Hawaii, and we were obsessed with Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and we were playing that a lot. And the thing that happens with John and I is because we have this brain that won't slow down. Once we start to talk about something, we're like, yeah. Wouldn't that be cool if we did this? Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if there was like a bear and we're like, okay, it just ballooned into like this full-fledged idea. And we even built like an iPhone game that was going to be a lot like where you're trading in the wasteland, and then you lose. It's like a really simple game, but you get to trade. It's like I think it was called Monsoon or something like that. It was like that old opium trading game. So we came up with this like wasteland trading game, and I drew this character as Lola at her earliest phase, and she had the scarf and everything. And I'm like, man, what would be cool if I could draw this into a comic book. And of course, I slowly start rolling it out. I'm like, I love Marilyn Monroe. I love that bombshell blonde look. What if you stuck her in the wasteland, because she'd be the last person you'd want to see in the wasteland. And then
exactly.
I built a story around it, because it's like, is it realistic though for her to walk around that way and not have any kind of way of getting these skills? And so I added like her posse, basically, you know, her the guys that raised her, and so they're close, but they're all very different people. And I feel like that was the best way to get the story going. No matter how I changed the story, if I had those characters intact, I felt like I'd have an adventure. And so you could kind of go in almost any direction at that point. So that was in 2012, 2013, where I started to brew that idea, and I started drawing pages. And good on Vince. I don't know how and what he saw, but I was like, hey, Vince, I got this idea. I have a script and I have some pages. Would you like to see it? And he's like, sure, let's do it. Let's try it. Okay. So I start putting it together, and he's like, hey, we have a release date. You want to do it? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, let's go. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was coloring with markers, and which is fine, but then you get lightheaded because it's a lot of fumes.
Yes.
And I wasn't well versed enough, and I didn't like how the watercolor would warp the paper. So I was still experimenting with the style.
Were you working with Copics then, or what were you?
Yeah, for the most part. And then I slowly started to only use Copics sparingly for like skin. Yes,
breathing
exactly.
the alcohol fumes.
I know. I was just like, this is not a good idea. I feel like I'm in the wasteland. So, so that's why the book kind of evolved, and I'm a lot more comfortable with ink now and watercolor. But at the time when I was working on it, the Eon boards could only absorb so much of my BS that I was trying to put on this page, and then I went from that to like watercolor paper to hold the ink more. So you could see the style change a little bit in my evolution as an artist. Just full stop. The first volume, like in second volume, that's basically what happened. No surprise there.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like a lot of people may not realize. Like, of course, hardcore fans realize, but you like pencil, ink, and color a lot of your own work. Majority of the time, especially like on Lola and everything. Are you going to continue that on the new project? You're doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Making more work for yourself is what you're telling me.
But what I've learned how to do though is the shortcuts on the coloring is going to be done in Clip Studio.
Okay.
So since what I did before was I was a colorist, remember I did the DC thing, and then I was part colorist on some stuff for Aspen. So I was a colorist before I became a penciler / writer. But so I was already kind of used to coloring on the computer, and we learned it, in digital design. So I was always the Photoshop kid.
Shout out again.
Shout out to digital design. Brian Martin, what's up? And Benedetti and Murphy.
Ken Murphy. Yep.
See, those are our guys.
Yes.
Mr. Radis.
Mr. Radis. I don't know if he's still around, so I don't want to say bad things. Like,
yeah, I know he was the guy.
Mr.
Right?
Radis, you took my GPA down because of the dang painting class.
Oh, were you in his painting class? I was in his drawing class. So
I went through all the levels of his drawing class.
I didn't have to.
The better I got, the more he kept turning the screws on me and getting more harsh. And I remember like perfect grades through the first couple levels of drawing, and then it started to dip down into the B's, B+. And then painting class, like his approach to painting, like I'm very process oriented. So I'm like, I want to know, like, put this color down. He's like, no, you just paint, just do it.
Really? I didn't know
he's
that.
like, just do it.
What was the other teacher's name?
Paint the apple. And then I was getting like horrible grades, and I like requested like a meeting with him. Like, hey, dude, like I don't understand. Like I need to know like steps, and he just like, no, you just do it. Like, don't. He didn't give me like any direction.
So he was trying to be more experimental with the painting class.
Yeah, and it took my GPA. I had a perfect GPA.
He's like, James, take your process and just throw it away. And you're like, no, I can't.
My brain does not work that way. Like, I need process.
I know. He doesn't get it. No, I never took his painting class. I only took his drawing class,
So your GPA probably stayed perfect.
Except for, guess where I got my bad grade? I was like a D+. I was like, it was fair. It was fair to give me a D+, to be honest with you. It was the technical writing class.
Oh,
that one was a freaking hard class, because I'm like, oh yeah, you think you understand process, what you say, until you try to write instructions for stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I shouldn't be teaching.
Mine was that another one that I struggled a little bit with was one of the design, like graphic design.
Oh, that was hard. Was it Ken Murphy's class?
No, it wasn't. What was it? It was the other guy.
Or InDesign? Is it
was some kind of. No, we were doing like painted stuff, and like he would have us do like geometric patterns.
I think I know who you're talking about. I forgot his name.
Different gradients and stuff, and
John would remember his name.
Yeah, it was weird though, because like the projects I would put my heart into and work really hard on, he like gave me a horrible grade, and the ones I like phoned in, he's like, "This is brilliant." I'm like, "Bro, I literally did that in like 10 minutes."
See, that's why they think fine art is pretentious, is because of things like that, right? Like,
because I couldn't figure out what he was looking for. Like when I actually tried to follow what they were saying to do, horrible grades. And then I like phone it in. This is the best thing ever. I'm like, I guess I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm not an artist. I don't
exactly.
I mean, there's the whole concept of fine art and how it's a scam, I guess, in some ways. Sometimes it's whatever. We could go on a rabbit hole of fine art some other time, but yeah.
We'll say it's very vague and subjective at times.
And pretentious.
And can be very pretentious. Yeah. So back to Lola. So on Lola, you're experimenting a lot with your approach to coloring, and this has kind of influenced how you're going to approach your coloring on the new project. And you mentioned Clip Studio. Now, Clip Studio, for the listeners or viewers who may not know, is kind of basically think like Photoshop, but completely dedicated to comics and creating comics. Like everything you can imagine for...
And then some.
And then some for
animation
tools to create comics, to do animation, to letter, to color, ink.
It's perfect,
everything. So now I am very intimidated by the coloring features in Clip Studio because it's so in depth. And when you've colored in Photoshop before and in some other programs, like it's similar, but it's very different because it can do so much more. So you must have been experimenting with what it can do for quite some time now to be confident enough to start utilizing it.
Oh.
Or have you ever has it just come easy to you?
I'm trying to figure out, because I don't remember posting really anything Clip Studio related, but guess what happened was like a year ago, they contacted me to do a sponsorship video on YouTube. So they were like, "Oh, we could give you the software." I'm like, "Oh no, I already own it." So so they did the sponsorship. So while I was doing it, I was asking questions to make sure I know what I was talking about. And they said, "Oh yeah, the feature's here." I'm like, "That feature's there?" They had it's
many.
Such a deep thing, and I didn't know it could do that because I'm like, at Photoshop, I think the one thing I wanted really bad was it was something that Photoshop does that it doesn't seem like it's obvious in Clip Studio. And they're like, "Oh yeah, you can do that. It's just a different thing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But their lasso tools, amazing. Their fill lasso tools, the reason why I'm like, this is my program. And their perspective grids, which I don't use yet, but if I needed to, it's there. And
it's all there.
Yeah, it's all there. It's so robust. And and I started, the last 5 pages that I colored was the most I've ever used a program at one whole time. And so now I'm like, this program, I cannot not use it. So. And
if you have the iPad, the full version of Clip Studio, it's exactly the same as the desktop version.
I'm going to download my copy of that.
So awesome. It's literally exactly the same.
Sweet. I didn't know that.
It's seamless. So you literally
is this
go
new?
in there, work on you. It's been around a few years now.
I guess they didn't tell me about it because I wasn't doing it on the iPad. Okay.
So you can get it. It is a separate
license.
Well, you're sponsored, so you'll be good. But it's like a separate license or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But it's literally the same program, and all the features, everything is the same, and it runs great.
Nice. Okay. Perfect. Now I could color on my iPad because when I went camping a couple weeks ago, I was like, "Oh, I can't do the digital stuff because I won't be home." But now. I wish I would have known.
Sorry, now I'm making more work for you.
No, you're not. You're actually making me excited, because I'm all about trying to find ways of making things quicker.
Well, and I know you're creating on the go. If you travel or something, you still have to be productive and work. So the iPad is really
perfect.
revolutionize that for artists. I know a lot of artists too. They're doing their whole workflow in Procreate on the iPad, which to me, like, some of it is intuitive and some of it isn't. Like, especially with coloring, like, it's weird. You can't do like a gradient like you would in Photoshop where you drag and do your gradient. Like there's no like easy way to do a gradient.
It's like a bar, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a bar and you got to do all this weird stuff. And but yeah, there's stuff I like about Procreate, but Clip Studio, as far as like if I was gonna tell somebody
printed
comic
work.
Specific, it's
printed work especially. Yep.
Yeah, and you might get overwhelmed, but there are a lot of tutorials
a
and
lot
things.
Of good ones. So I thought, I'm like, I just need to find out what this one tool does. So I go and search for it. I'm like, how come nobody has a video about this one tool that
because they don't know about it yet.
It's like,
it's for you to ask and then give the information.
I know. Should I be making like reels like, hey, I found this button that does, or this tool that does this thing, voila, you know?
I'm always so excited when I find a video like that that somebody's done. And I'm like, oh, I knew it could do that, but I couldn't figure it out.
Or even when you're doing video and audio, right? You just need to figure out one adapter for whatever piece you're doing. I'm like, please tell me someone's adapted this. This has to work. Because what I was doing is trying to shoot with 2 cameras and then have my Cintiq also be a screen on OBS. And so I'm like, come on, somebody please just give me a simple 2 cameras, 1 screen share. And I was trying to get all complicated. I was going to buy another like capture card, and I find out, oh, you could just do it automatically. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. Yes. So.
Yeah, I just figured out how to get my iPad into OBS. And so I could do like live, I could use that for the drawing and show the iPad screen.
And it's cool because you're like moving around and it's just wireless and it's just like, wow, it's like magic.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. The suspense is killing me. We have to talk about the newest creator-owned project, your Kickstarter. It's currently in the pre-launch phase, so people can go on and choose to get notified once it launches and everything. So make sure you guys do that. But it's Neo Wonderland, correct? Mm-hmm. This is the new one.
New old one.
Over two decades in percolating.
Kennel, yes.
Yeah. So tell everybody what you are willing to share about this project.
So I started this project after when you and I were going to school at Pierce College, and first it was going to be like a futuristic racing comic book kind of. It was going to be geared kind of around that whole thing, and I went from that to like I wanted to have like a man-made island and throw all the really cool things into it, and there was like technocrats, the people who ran the island. They're basically businessmen who came together and built their own basically country off of a scrap of an island where it used to be like a landfill for the world, where like they would dump all their ships and their cars and just all sorts of stuff. And so they innovated this technology to build this man-made island, and they made it and built it into what it is. But in the early phases, there's no AI involved in this story at all. And then it was 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, before ChatGPT came about. I was like, it'd be kind of interesting because I feel like we're going in that direction where there's this constitution for the world basically that's run by an AI that is like in place of what people would actually be, and it does more than just runs the political side of things. It runs like food and shelter and air and all that stuff. So all this stuff, it runs it through this process. And so the rest of the world is run on this, but there's like a few rogue nations, countries basically that it's not part of this constitution. And so Neo Wonderland takes place in Shangri-La, and there's the main cities a lot like Tokyo, and there's the outskirts of Shangri-La where it's a lot like the towns and places in like South Korea and Japan. So I kind of modeled after that, and I took from like Norway and some of those things that I thought would be really cool, where if you left the city, the underbelly, it doesn't really touch it because there's no reason for it to. And so that's the premise for the story. And so I have 2 brothers. The main character, he's a convict. He was he was in prison for 10 years. I won't say why yet because that's part of the main story. And he was released from prison after 10 years, and his younger brother basically left the village that they used to live in. His mom is single. She's by herself. And so Saint, right after prison, was like, okay, well, I got to go, see how my brother's doing. And his mom was like, he's such a sweet kid. You know, he's a tax collector in town. He's, you know, working in Shangri-La. And as soon as you hear the word tax collector and Shangri-La in my world, it's not a good combination because it's there's so much mob activity in the city itself. It's kind of like lawless in a way, even though there's rules and everything, but nobody really follows them. And then, so he goes into Shangri-La to go find his brother tax collecting. And he's like, Mom thinks you're a tax collector. Is this really what you do? And he finds out slowly that his brother is not only not a tax collector, but he owes debt to like every mafia clan that you could think of, basically. And he's in all this trouble. And his mom thinks that her son's doing fine because he'll send money home. And she's like, oh, he's successful. And so our main character, Saint, basically tries to work himself out of work his brother out of the debt, you know. And then the more he tries to do that, the more he gets caught up in his mess. And then they both basically end up, well, Saint especially ends up becoming an assassin because he lost.
Okay.
And he can't go back to prison, so he's like,
he's got nothing to lose at this point.
He's like, I'm trying to stay out of prison. But at this point, like, there's no way. And so, like, it's the relationship with the two brothers and the surrounding environment's kind of like how I built my story around it. So if I change a few things here and there, the story I feel like is still going to end up in the same place because I built up how I want the relationship to grow or to be disintegrated at some point in the story. We'll see where that goes, but that's kind of how I have it placed right now, so that I have like at least 3 volumes to build off of, because I've built this world for 20 years, as you know.
Oh yeah.
And it changed, and so this is the latest iteration of it. But the whole story, they were always after I think Pierce, they became assassins. Maybe a couple years after that, I'm like, oh, they got to be assassins, right?
Yeah.
More interesting. And then the car element's still in there, but now I've added hoverboards and flying cars.
Nice.
And we're gonna mod up like the hoverboards and the cars, and because it's a scrap island, people would go and look for old cars. Just imagine like a Skyline or an RX-7 just flying without using those names, and they have to mod it and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta be careful.
Trust me, when I was going to Pierce, I actually contacted these car companies and asked them if I could use the likeness of their cars, and they're like, no, but thank you for asking. And I'm like, they said no, but that was kind of cool. I got a response from the main office, so it was kind of cool. And I joked with my live stream, my guys, I was like, hey, you know what'd be funny is if the main character got drunk and he's coming out of this bar and it's in the sky. So it's 300 feet at least up in the sky. He tries to step onto his hoverboard and he pukes onto the people below. And it's, you know, because people were flying around in these hoverboards. You don't know what they're doing. So there's all these silly things that we came up with. And I thought, like, yeah, this is fun. That's why I do my live stream, because they'll give me all these silly ideas.
That's awesome.
I hold on to them. I'm like, that's a great idea. Thanks for giving that to me, you guys.
Yeah, thanks. I may or may not use that.
No, but I'll tell them straight up if I'm like, I love that idea. We're going to use it. One of them even recommended, they're like, you know, it would be cool if we could have like an ash can for the comic. I'm like, perfect. We're going to do an ash can.
Ash cans are coming back.
I realize that now.
I've noticed. Yeah, it's really cool.
They're so much fun. And so I was like, okay, I'll give away the ash cans for free the first 24 hours or something. I want to do something kind of cool, kind of old school, 1990s approach to, I guess, releasing a book, and that kind of excitement everybody has for the little cute ash cans with the hollow foil on the front and stuff. It's cheaper to print that way too.
Be really cool, yeah.
So.
I've recently found some of the old, the first Wildcats ash cans, the little hot pink ones.
Ooh, I gotta
there's
look
like
that
a
up.
hot pink one.
That's
and like
so
a
cool.
green one. They were like limited, I think they're like limited to like 1,000 of them.
Dang.
And I found some at a local shop, so I picked them up.
How much was it? If you don't mind me asking, how much was it?
They weren't a lot. Maybe like $15-$20.
I bet it's not like that now.
they sell for way more on eBay and everything. But yeah, I got a good deal on them, and I was like, oh, and they're like still sealed too. They have like a little sticker like holding them shut.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, I opened one of them. I'm like, I gotta look through one of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm one of those collectors who.
I'm one of those.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to make this. My fingerprints on it and stuff. I'm supposed to grade it, but I want to see the inside so bad.
Exactly.
I don't care. I don't care how much it's worth.
I un-CGC'd a sketchbook at one point. It was a CGC. The only way I could get it was a CGC graded one. It was a Doug Mankey sketchbook that was signed. But I'm like, I want it because I want to be able to look through the sketchbook. To cut it all. Somebody's probably crying somewhere. No.
Oh, I know. Someone gifted me like a 10.0 Lola like holofoil cover. And I guess I've never seen a 10 before, so I completely didn't even look at the 10. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then I think I was chatting with them, and they looked at each other, and they're like, I don't think she knows. I'm like, what did I miss? They're like, Sia, look closer. Look closer. Yeah. And I see a 10. I'm like, oh, it's a 10. I didn't take it out of the thing.
Yeah, yet.
I know. I'm like, oh, I don't have any more copies of that. I want to see what it looks like.
Do you have the launch date, the intended launch date? When can we look forward? Is it public? Can you make it public, or is it coming soon?
It's coming so soon. I'm almost embarrassed to say when.
Okay.
Yeah, because
we won't say.
Yeah, it's October. It's next week. It's October 28th.
Oh my goodness! Nice.
I know, right? Because I announced it like last Friday.
Nice.
Didn't have a lot of runway this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and my marketing guy, we're like, we got to do it now. I'm like, okay, let's do it now. Let's go. Let's not sleep for a week. Let's go. Let's do this thing.
So I'm assuming if it gets funded very quickly, there's going to be some stretch goals and some awesome stuff planned.
I'm still obsessed with collectible stuff. So whatever I want someone else to have, I'm going to try to put it into my own thing. Like, ooh, holo foil would be really cool. Or for sure, there's going to be a sketchbook. And I know a lot of people want the black and white edition, so that's already going to be in the main thing. That's not a stretch goal, but I do have like a bunch of different things designed. And I was like joking with John and my marketing guy. I was like, hey, you know what? If we get $1 million, let's just give somebody something so kind of sad. You're like, $1 million, and this is what we get. Because John was like, yeah, let's make a replica of a hoverboard. I'm like, no, slow down. We're gonna give everybody a certificate.
Yeah.
No,
get a little piece of paper.
It was something so stupid. We're like, let's not do it. I know it's a funny joke, but it would just burn every bridge you can imagine. So.
What about something like this? We could.
Are you gonna donate that piece?
we could donate that.
I know. Oh my god, you got the one with a car. Oh my gosh. I
started inking it.
That's right. Can you scan that so I could have that, and I could put it in the sketchbook if that's okay?
I'd be happy to send it to you.
No. Can you scan it for me? I don't need you to send it to me. I could put it in the sketchbook, and then I'll say that you started inking it and the story behind it.
I did, yeah. I should finish inking it.
Yeah, you should scan it that way.
I'll scan it first, but
awesome.
This is issue 0.
Does it really say 0?
Issue 0.
I was all about the issue 0.
Page 2 of issue 0, and it is titled Fearless.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one title I forgot. I named it because I was like, I went from Saint Sinners to Shangri-La to Neo Wonderland. I forgot Fearless was the first one because I had a gentleman do a calligraphy of the word fearless for me in Chinese, and so I was gonna use that, and I guess I could still use it. Like a jacket or something he's wearing would be kind of cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and it would be like, we'll get $1 million. We'll get a really nice jacket with like a tiger.
Get a jacket
with a tiger. Yeah, and it's gonna be all like gold and mafioso. Yeah.
Hey, don't put that out there because now they're gonna expect it.
Oh, it's like, it's like $5,000. I was like,
stay to the piece of paper. It's just a certificate.
You could adopt a Pocky, a fake one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Sia, I've kept you for quite some time, and I know we could go even longer, but I would like to have you back on. I know it'll probably be soon-ish, but once the Kickstarter gets rolling.
And you can see me crying.
And we can
for better or worse.
No, it'll be for better. It'll be we hit $1 million.
I know. You guys ready for your certificate?
Yeah. I want to have you back on once it's launched and everything.
Sure. And I'll let you know my experience.
And it'll probably be fully funded at that point and everything, because I think it's going to get funded pretty quick. First off, let everybody know where to keep track of you, the best places to follow you on social media. Let them know your YouTube channel. I'm going to link all this stuff up for them. And then obviously what they should search on Kickstarter so they can get that pre-launch notification and all of that. I'm always yapping on Instagram, and I post my art there all the time. And it's Instagram at, I think it's Sia_Ohm. And then on YouTube, it's at siyaoum. So just siyaoum. And that's where you're going to mostly see me. I post on those all the time. And I don't even my official website isn't fully updated, but right. But
Neo Wonderland does have an official website. It's neowonderland.com. And when you go there, there's the newsletter and there's also the pre-launch link. So if you guys go there, that's probably the easiest way to get to the pre-launch link, because the pre-launch link is usually like long-tailed URLs. So it's like,
yeah,
it's some crazy thing that I don't even know. But yeah, that's it.
Very cool. So that's the pertinent places. Everybody make sure you go there. And then remind me again, the launch date, the official launch.
The official launch date is October 28th.
Perfect. So I am going to push this episode up in the queue. I had a different episode I was going to put out on Monday, but I'm going to put this episode out on Monday because Monday's the 27th. And that way we get the episode out the day before and spread the word.
I don't know what I'm doing, man. I mean, it's like it's all in and in a short amount of time. It's like I my marketing guy, who's my friend, he's one that was like, you got to get it. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it like right now, because October.
Yeah.
Because if I wait, I'd have to wait till spring, and I'm like, okay, let's just go. 1 month, let's just push so hard. I had to color and ink and draw like 5 pages in a week, which means I could do it at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why it's next week. And I was waiting for the pre-launch page. We had all the tiers like basically figured out. That's why I didn't want to like announce it yet until Kickstarter gave me the green light to like give out the link. So yeah.
Are you somebody that likes to be pretty far ahead into it before you put the Kickstarter up? Yeah,
because I understand how this sometimes people don't deliver. Lucky for me, Chris Rupp's from Rupp's Comics, Aspen's warehouse, is going to be fulfilling it for me. So I'm not like
perfect.
I'm not the one going with however many books I have in my apartment. Like, not me. I would be such a mess. So
your dad's not having to have them stacked in his house.
I don't know if he has more room for my new stuff, because now all of a sudden it's a bunch of comics at once, and it's just like, a tornado. So,
awesome.
This is so cool. I'm so glad I got to talk to you. I'm like, I can't wait to tell. I can't believe that we're finally now with the original page you had. This book is going to come out. Like,
isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. So it was meant to happen when it
serendipitous. Yes. Well, thank you so much for spending the time with me today.
I can't wait to share this link, because of the stuff that we talk about is very exclusive to you and I, because we've known each other for a long time. So some of the stories we have are very personal, and I think it's absolutely silly and funny. So
yes. And we'll definitely have you back on once the Kickstarter is out and everybody is excited. Hang out with me for a moment while I talk to everybody. Everybody, make sure you follow all the links that I'm going to leave for you so you can check out all of Sia's awesome work. The podcast now has a Patreon. If you want to give a little extra support to the podcast, you can. You don't need to feel obligated to do that, but I know some people have asked how they can help build the podcast up and spread the word more. So if you go to patreon.com/nerdymewzings, you could be one of the first Patreon members. Going to be all sorts of extra goodies. I might even throw the hidden episode of Sia's first unaired appearance. If I can piece it together, that'll probably be a Patreon perk, so you can hear that and go back in the Wayback Machine. If you like the podcast, feel free to subscribe, share with a friend. New episodes come out every Monday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And in the meantime, everybody, keep it nerdy. What's up, everybody? Once again, it is I, James, coming to you from the Nerdy Musings podcast studio. I am super excited to be joined today by somebody I would consider to be the first legend status creator that we've had on the podcast. Enter the dude, Mr. Steve Rude. How you doing today, Steve?
Well, before we actually went live here, I was telling you about my situation, my creative situation of being not able to work out this latest set of problems with matching script to art in the latest Nexus thing I'm doing, which is called Return to Earth.
Yes.
So it's a very trying time right now that's kind of pissing me off.
I can imagine. It's always a struggle to put what's in the mind down on the page, isn't it?
Yeah. Life is, life doesn't care about your feelings. It just gives you these circumstances and you got to deal with them.
Yeah. Now, is this related to a print comic, or does this have anything to do with the animated stuff that you're working on as well?
Well, the animated work, James, always ties into it somehow. That's probably why I'm always in a stir about this kind of stuff, because I've been working on giving the world this gift of a Nexus animated cartoon show for so long that I wonder about the sanity of the Earth itself.
Yeah.
In that I keep, it's not a big industry, the animation industry. And based on that, in the fact that this thing is, that everyone within the industry should have been aware of this by now, just by seeing the pilot alone on YouTube, is kind of a mystery to me. I don't know what's going on, why I haven't gotten the proper people volunteering to work on this with me. But I think in the end of all this, if I ever get the show, I'm gonna have to relearn a lesson that I've learned hundreds of times, and that is literally that if you don't do it yourself, if you're not completely in charge from the beginning, you'll never get what you want.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I'm trying to do here is overhaul the industry situations where creative people are never in charge of their own character.
Yeah, this is true. One of the big struggles is not having that, control from start to finish. And I can imagine that has to be incredibly frustrating, especially in regard to something animated, because you really do need kind of a team to work with, don't you?
I need a team. And after all this time of trying to think that somebody would come to me, I decided to reverse course and start from scratch. And currently, James, I have kind of want ads out on the internet looking for just the right people to want to join me on this. It is going to be, an insane endeavor to get this working right. But, what else is new in my life?
Well, we're going to definitely make sure we're getting the word out on here. Anybody listening, guys, if you have those skill set, the skill set to help Steve out, definitely hit him up, because it's going to take a very special team to do this project in the right way too, because I know the style of animation that you're going for there, and it's going to be a little trial and error finding the right fit, because I get the perception that you very much have a strong visual in your mind of how that animation should look and how it should be portrayed.
Well, I not only have a strong idea from the very beginning that I started this thing, but since that time, I've accumulated more pre-production artwork. I try to imagine if you're looking at your floor, James, and you rise it up like 5 feet in height.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at with how much work I've gotten done for a show that has never been made yet.
So all the ingredients are there. It just needs to have the right team to assemble it at this point.
Yeah. Comics can be a one-man show. Animation cannot.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about your fine art background, because I have a lot of artists on here, and they come from the school of, seeing their favorite comic artists, and they look at their art and they kind of try to learn from that. But I know you have a fine art background, and I'm interested to know, how has that benefited and influenced your comic work? Because I have a feeling that having that deep understanding of the human figure. And I know you're somebody that continues even to this day to hone your craft and do figure drawing and draw from reference and things. Would you say that fine arts background has been a great asset in your career in comics?
Well, to be specific, my background has always been wanting to be an illustrator. Because to me, anyone who can claim to be an illustrator should have every imaginable skill that an artist should have to work with any medium and rise to any challenge.
Yeah.
And that was always the way I am. As far as continuing to push my abilities, that's just my nature. It hasn't changed since I was 18 and had to decide what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I began back then by just taking works of art that I really liked and tried to copy them. And eventually that expanded into wanting to learn how to paint, which all illustrators do with any medium, oil, acrylic, watercolor, and to make it good enough so it's worthy of the people that kind of pointed the way for me. And those people are all the illustrators that came from the mid 1900s.
Yeah.
Those are my heroes.
Well, that's definitely guided your work. And I've seen I've seen a lot of artists, young artists coming up struggle with wanting to use reference. It almost seems like young artists coming up think that using reference is a bad thing or learning from reference. Why do you think that is? Do you think having a background in your formal training kind of showed you the necessity of reference, whereas people coming up now, there's like this misconception that using reference is copying versus learning from it?
Well, I'm as in the dark about these misconceptions as you are, James. If people aren't, if they aren't corrected from an early age and they grow up thinking this kind of nonsense, then I wonder where they got it from in the first place. So it's completely erroneous.
Yeah.
And it's not only that, but it's going to hinder your ability to get better.
Yeah, this is what I see, because it's like there's this mental block in place. I think it's because people confuse it with copying, and drawing from reference, learning from reference is not copying. Anybody who has studied art knows this. So I found it interesting a long time ago when I watched your documentary. You talked about this kind of a inner drive that led to certain decisions in your life that you made. And one of them led to meeting your wonderful wife, and you had another one that directed you into comics and things. So I'm curious, how has that inner drive or that inner voice guided your style and the medium you like to use and influenced your artwork?
So you want to know about the inner drive that I always talk about?
Yeah, you talked about having just like this sense that you needed to do this thing. Like you hitchhiked and it led to meeting your wife at one point, and then you had another point where you hitchhiked and it led to something else, and you just had this deep, like, this is what I have to do. I'm curious, has that same inner voice or inner drive or feeling guided the direction of your art and your career as well?
Well, it always has guided me, and trying to qualify an intangible property like drive or intuition is impossible to actually explain in a way that maybe can help other people. But I just know that I've always had it. It's extremely strong. And I think it's so strong it actually scares other people that are around me.
Yeah. Yeah, some people call it trusting your gut, right? That could be another way.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But you need a combination of a life experience and just a need to accumulate knowledge to be able to trust that inner self, because it develops over time.
Yeah, it really does. Well, It's no secret we both love Jack Kirby. I mean, I'm wearing my Kirby shirt. I've heard you talk about Jack many times. You're the first guest I've ever had on that actually won a Jack Kirby award. That had to be pretty dang cool.
Well, it was, and yet at the same time, it wasn't like some kind of a big shock to my life. And again, I can't explain that, but when I got to know the Kirbys and other people that influenced my life hugely, it actually felt like kind of a rendezvous with destiny.
Interesting.
That again, I can't really explain, but Peter on Jack in his home was a very relaxing experience, and I found Jack to be as different a human being as anyone I've ever met. He's 100% unique, and his inert kindness and his lack of pretension is like nothing I've ever seen before. He's just a totally real guy.
Yeah.
That just shoots from the hip and does what he needs to do and believes in himself. And it was just a fantastic experience every time I was around him.
It had to be phenomenal to be able to see his art in person. Like, I've had the chance to see a few original art pages over the years, but to actually be in his presence, and I'm assuming you got to see where he worked and everything as well.
Yeah, it was in his the last home he lived in, which was a Thousand Oaks home in California. And his home was basically welcome to anybody. He's not one of these snobs that just says, don't bother me. He invited everybody. And pretty soon we're all sitting around having chocolate cake and milk served by rods.
Yeah, I've heard so many stories of her, just treating anybody that visited like gold and feeding them and, making sure she kept an eye on the art that he was going to let leave, pages he wanted to give people and things. And yeah, it just seemed like such a genuinely special person. When it comes to his prolific work ethic and how he was able to produce so much quality work, he produced massive amounts of work with very imperceivable drop in quality. How do you think he did it? Was it just the formula, or it just came from that special mind of his?
It came from the Prescient mentality, James.
Okay.
When you're looking at a time period when everyone was not getting jobs and having to sell apples at a street corner to feed your family, that isn't something that ever leaves you. And I finally figured out why these old people always do these 5 o'clock dinners. Well, they do that because that's their mentality. They want to save money every time they have a chance to do that.
Yeah.
So they continue that throughout their lifetime. And then there's the World War II, that is almost inconceivable to people who haven't read about it or can relate to an experience where you take an 18-year-old kid and throw him into a foreign country and tell him to fire at the enemy and kill people. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Let's pause for 1 second because I'm seeing a little alert pop up here. Is Janelle nearby?
What if I press quit?
No, don't do quit. Let me see. Are there any other windows or programs open, or is this the only thing that you have open on your screen?
Well, I pressed quit and it went away.
Okay, cool. I think we're good then. All right, we'll continue from there. So with that mentality in this mindset that he ingrained in himself, like beyond that, his style and the way it developed is very interesting, because a lot of people, I don't think when you first look at Kirby's work, you have a great appreciation for just the level of artistic ability it takes to do almost like an impressionistic style like that. Because looking at Kirby's old work, it was very structurally sound and not as exaggerated. What do you think it was for him that made him take that leap and develop his style into the Jack Kirby that we know?
Well, I think Kirby had the genius gene. So if you're kind of born with that, and you think like an Einstein or a Copernicus or something like that, wild things are going to come about in your lifetime of creativity. With Kirby, the farther back you go, as you just mentioned, James, you can see absolute classical training.
Yes.
Roz was telling me about drawings that he did when he was like 14 or 15, and they were Einsteinian in a level of accomplishment.
Yeah, there's a particular one from when I think he was like 14 or 15 of a person on a horse that is just illustriously illustrated and very proper anatomy and everything else. And then, people would never believe that was a Kirby piece if we didn't have the proof, right? Because he did have that artistic ability. And then when he was in comics and when he came back, he was really pushing the boundaries of what he did. Do you think that was to keep him interested or because it was fun for him to change his style in that way?
I think it was both. And I think an evolving style is just a matter of evolution. Kirby had the ability to work, to turn out a lot of work, as we all know, from the very beginning. And people would talk about the way he drew. That in itself is a fascination to me, endless fascination, because most people don't draw like that. They don't start in a corner or start at the bottom of a shoe and develop a perfectly proportioned figure from there. So that's another part of the genius gene that Kirby had. And if you're going to admire anyone, crying aloud, admire a genius so you can at least hope to get halfway as good as they are.
Absolutely. Did you get to watch him create? Did you get to watch him draw?
The last time I was at his house, I asked him to draw something for me. He threatened to beat me up.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, he was truly special. Do you have a favorite memory of the time that you got to spend with him?
Yeah, one of them was when I was hanging out at his house one evening. There was a big picture on illustration board. It was big, like 20 by 30 at least. And it was a comic strip, a self-contained comic strip of a guy who was wandering through an ocean liner with all those round portholes that they have. And Kirby had, for some reason, a Black Panther that was on board the ship, and he stuck his head out on one of those portholes, and it looked like a stuffed head mounted on a wall. And I started laughing uncontrollably. That being my weird sense of humor. And Kirby looked at me like, "What's wrong with this guy?" Well, I'm sure he got as much of a kick out of me as I did hanging out with Jack.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such a special memory. Like only a handful of people can say that they had that level of interaction with him. So I appreciate you sharing that with me, because I'm slightly living vicariously from you to hear what he was like to be around. So that's really cool. Is his work still influence you to this day?
It will never stop influencing me, because the ingraining of what he was and how he drew and everything about him is so deep within me that you couldn't remove it with a crowbar.
Yeah. Did that develop as a kid collecting comics? Did you find his work early on?
Yeah, I did. And the way I thought about that is anytime I saw his work, I always knew it was him because I was so young. I wasn't really into knowing the names of these guys. I knew it was a guy named Jack Kirby, but you could tell his work without ever having to see his signature on anything.
Yeah.
It was beyond what anyone else could do. It's just power personified.
Power, dynamics, like his figures look like they're moving through time and space. It's just so special. And I don't think there'll ever be another. He just truly broke the mold.
There could well be. If there is going to be another Kirby, it might take, I would see, at least 200 years before we find him. If comics are even around by then.
True.
Or print is still around.
Yeah, things are changing so much. In speaking a little bit about that change, like you've really leaned into being more active on your YouTube and everything. Like I've greatly enjoyed and learned so much from your live streams that you do and everything. So, and we talked a little bit before we started, like the technology side of things is not your jam. So what's that been like, kind of being like, okay, I do need to put myself out there, and people are, you know, craving this type of, these type of tutorials and instructions from a legend like yourself. What was the impetus behind that and in deciding to start making more content on YouTube?
Well, it's kind of what you said, James. It's a need to get word out that this whole computerized art thing has been around for at no time at all in context of history.
Yeah.
So you take everything that was done computerized, which is the last billion years, and you bring it to people. You bring it in people's heads that this is the way art was meant to be. It was meant to be done with your hands and tools that can take the images in your head and make them real, and with a lot of training and perpetual curiosity, that's what makes a life worth living.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of pressing a keyboard or using a Cintiq and some fake kind of pencil to do what I've grown up with and learned through all these schools to do is crazy.
Yeah, you're a traditionalist through and through with your art, aren't you? You never have dabbled in the digital realm.
Somebody got me to actually hold one of those pencils and work on a screen just for comic release, and
it's hard. It doesn't feel the same.
Well, it never will to me. Obviously, the world has gone on to adapt it. Like I guess any kind of a pressing trend would assert itself on the current population. But it's not my thing, and furthermore, I don't feel the need to be part of it just because it's there.
Safe to say, I know your opinion about AI.
AI, you know what? People are actually surprised by that. What I think about AI, I just think of it as another progression of technology, and it's not going to stop.
But in regards to art,
well, people keep inventing stuff.
Yeah.
And they will always invent stuff. Now, where this is going to go, honestly, let someone else worry about that. In the meantime, I'll just have a great time with my pencils and brushes and continue having a good time.
Yeah. Continue studying Kirby and having fun, right?
Kirby and anyone else who I think I can learn something from, which is pretty much everyone.
You a big fan of Norman Rockwell's work?
Norman Rockwell, I knew a bit about him through my teacher, one of my early teachers in Madison, Wisconsin, where I was going to a tech college. And this teacher that I had, Mr. Owen Campen, was an illustrator from the 1950s in the mold of James Avati, who was the big thing at the time. So everyone was trying to paint like him. But Campen actually worked at the famous artist school that was founded by Albert Dorn. He was one of the many people behind the scenes that made the engine run, where, it was a correspondence course, a famous artist course started by Dorn. And they would have salesmen go throughout the United States selling these courses. And they were expensive for the time, but well worth it. And I think Dorn was thinking of the future in that by the time his art course got off the ground, photography was making serious inroads into in the illustration field. And I think he had the foresight to think that if we don't do something about this, then everything learned from the past about how to be an illustrator and would go away. It's kind of like if you don't use it or talk about it or demonstrate it, it might go away.
Yeah.
So I think that's what was on Dorn's mind a lot. And so through Mr. Campen, he met the 12 faculty members of the school, which included Norman Rockwell. So he got to know him. And as Mr. Campen would say, I pissed in the same John with Norman Rockwell. But Rockwell, once you really look into what he did and was about, he could paint and draw as well as anyone in history. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
He could go up against anybody that ever lived and mesh their abilities. Not bad for a low illustrator.
Not bad. Not bad at all. So along the lines of utilizing some of these modern technologies, you've also been having a lot of good success on Kickstarter and crowdfunding a lot of projects now, which I've noticed is really getting your name out there and getting more people aware about things like the Nexus animated series and through your How to Draw books. And you did that awesome How to Draw where it had a lot of Nexus stuff in there to where the character sheets and everything and all of that. So with Kickstarter, have you noticed like an uptick in the amount of representation you're getting and in the level of support that's coming up? Because it feels like each next project is getting funded quicker and quicker. What's that whole process been like for you?
Well, we have Janelle to thank for that, and my daughter, Jessica. They're the ones that are in tune with modern technology, and I just basically show up and give a speech every Saturday.
They say, get on the live stream. You got time to go to work.
It's been a slow start.
Yeah.
And very frustrating trying to understand what it takes to break through to a world of people that most of them have never heard of you before. But that's just the way it goes over the years. It's just part of what you go through. But yeah, this a very slow climb, James. Very slow. Yeah. And very necessary because there's things I want to impart and there's things I stand for very strongly. One of which is traditional artwork, and thinking behind it, and why I do it, and why it's important to keep it going. So those things are things I talk about on the live stream. And in the meantime, we're starting to gather more people contributing to what I call begging for money.
All right.
Really, and slowly we're starting to up our membership, and but it's honestly, I think if life was fair, I would have been a millionaire 20 years ago.
You would have. I agree. There's a lot of people that know who you are that would agree as well. It made me think of when I was talking about the character sheets, the character model sheets. I know a lot of aspiring artists, myself included, have trouble keeping a character on model, as it would be. And that's kind of a term that I learned, from animation, to where the character is the character from whatever angle you're drawing it. The face doesn't change because it's a 3/4 view. Like a lot of artists have trouble with this. Is that simply improved through more and more practice, like understanding your proportions, understanding your landmarks on the face for each specific character, and just practicing endlessly?
That's all it is.
I had a feeling that was the answer. No shortcut, right?
If there's a shortcut, I think it would be something that would be transient, at least in your abilities. It would go away faster. But when you have to work hard at something, it tends to stick around a lot longer than something that may have come to you in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that form and, shape in looking at animation and how each character has a specific way that they're drawn, to where any animator could go in there and work on the in-betweens and everything. Like, I think I always encourage aspiring artists to look into animation and that process for some of those fundamentals, because I really do think it does help keep you on model when you're drawing the same character.
Well, it helps to have an interest in everything. I can't think of anything I'm not interested in learning in through the Nexus cartoon show. I've gone from, those model sheets, understanding those and working hard to make those representative of something that I want. It's also extremely hard to work a realistic style for a lot of animators.
Yeah.
I've tested a lot of them, and even some of the very best of the best have a hard time rendering a realistic figure and face. But to me, that was always my goal to begin with. So I've worked my whole life to learn how to do that, hopefully a little better and easier with every day of study, which I love to do. I just love to study. That's just kind of my way of acting. I see something I'm interested in and I copy it, and I perpetually keep copying. And through that, I think I've come up with, the so-called steverude style.
Yeah. What can you tell us about this new Nexus project that's been giving you fits?
Yeah, gladly. I kind of came to the conclusion that it's good to have a couple crises in life to wake you up and totally stop you from ever being complacent.
Yeah.
So I've kind of learned to embrace them. Like, here comes a crisis. Okay, well, what did you expect, Rude? But lately, I've gone from penciling very tight and working everything out ahead of time to not wanting to do that. And I don't really know why, but I just know it's a strong urging inside of me that, what do I do with it? Do I ignore it? Do I go back to what I was doing and feel and not feel right about doing that anymore? So it's just another life challenge that at the time we're going through it is an impossible. It's impossible to understand how you're going to get through it. But you do if you want it. If you want to get through it bad enough. And I have to get through it because I don't want life to be painful.
With penciling loosely, so I'm assuming that you are doing a lot of the drawing in the inking stage at that point, right?
Well, I seem to want to go to a certain point, James, of detail in rendering, and then I just want to get into the inks. And this is not the way I've drawn a comic ever before. Traditionally, you pencil it and then you ink it, or in this case, you pencil it, you letter it, and then you ink it in a proper way. But I don't know what's going. I honestly just don't know what's going on right now with me. But I know what's inside of me, and I know it's contradicts everything I used to work with.
Yeah,
and it's proven to be everything you expect it to be: hard, worrisome, but ultimately just a huge challenge.
But you're listening to that. You're listening to that inner voice again.
Yeah, it's pretty.
That's driving you to do this, so you need to do it.
It's driving me crazy. That's how I would say it. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you writing this one as well? You came up with the story, you're illustrating it, and it sounds like you're traditionally lettering it as well.
Yeah, I actually love hand lettering things. To me, that's fun, and it's also a huge challenge. And the fact that nobody's doing it anymore makes me want to support it even more.
Yeah,
every guy that's still hand lettering.
Yeah, that's unheard of.
Yeah, and this is a phenomenon that people need to take note of. It's the changes in life. So we went from doing everything one way for 100 years in comic strips and comic books, and suddenly these machines come along, and we don't have to hand letter, and we don't have to letter them on the page, so the artist knows what's going on from the script as much as they used to. So the thing is, when you're confronted by these things, you have to decide ultimately what you're going to do about it. And most people just say, well, that's the way it is. I guess I'm going to have to type out my balloon dialogue on a machine and paste it in. Well, I don't follow what others people do anyway. So, true to my nature, I like the idea of staying on course of what I know is going to be most rewarding for me, and just to keep doing it. And I kind of relate it to music, and like say, when all the changes happen all the time to every field, like say the music field, Paul McCartney goes from being a Beatle to, having great success in the mid '70s. And then all these musical changes come in, the technical changes and the trends of what is popular. How does a guy like Paul McCartney adapt to that? Or does he even adapt to that? He still needs to be Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And not someone else. So how a guy fits into that when these changes come along is one of life's big quandaries.
It seems like a lot of these changes are driven by productivity or producing more, especially in comics. Like I think a lot of the stuff has been driven by trying to help people get stuff out quicker or something. It's like little shortcuts, right? Like the pasting word balloons on and doing it all digitally and typing the text in the word balloons and putting it on, in post-production or whatever. So it's really refreshing to see somebody like yourself who's saying, no, I'm going to do it all myself, and I'm going to do it the old way and keep that authenticity about myself.
It seems to be my core self is I've never been a follower. I can't stand the idea of following others when their path is completely different from mine. And if you know yourself well enough, you know that you need to be what your insights tell you to be. You need to do that, and that's that part of you that comes from within. You don't argue with that, and if you do, you're going to lose.
Yeah. Now, there's something I've been dying to ask you, and I think I might know the answer, but are you fully invested now in Nexus and your own projects, like for the rest of your career? Or if somebody came to you with the Superman ongoing book, all of us fans would like to see you do, is it something that you would consider? Because your World's Finest run is some of the best work I've ever seen on Superman. Is that even something that would appeal to you if a project like that was presented to you? Or are you strictly set on doing your own projects and just working for yourself these days?
Well, looking over my entire career, I've had the opportunity to do pretty much every character I ever wanted, and had a great time doing it. And that took up the first, several decades of my life. But the business of comics itself has been going downhill for so long, and the rates are poor, and there's all this what I call politically correct content going on, which I don't believe in, because that's a trend thing. It's not a truth of any kind. It's a transitory idea that's going to change with the wind in the next 5 years. So I don't follow that kind of garbage. So given that the industry is kind of engulfed in that thinking right now, there's no reason for me to go back.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're very fulfilled in what you're doing right now as well.
The Nexus work that I'm doing right now, Baron and I are both doing our own versions of what we think is the best way to evolve the character. And I'm every challenge I've ever looked forward to, and it's obvious as I do the work every day and deal with a blank page, that this is going to be the rest of my life. Working on Nexus material, new Nexus material. Yeah.
Well, as we get close to the end here, I wanted to give you an opportunity to let everybody know what they need to be looking out for here in the coming months, because I know you're pretty active with your Kickstarters. There's usually one running, and we want to make sure that we drive as many people there as possible. So what do you have in the works right now that people should be on the lookout for and be ready to back?
Well, one thing I want to bring up before I even get into that is whenever you see somebody going advertising a Kickstarter or their channel, their YouTube channel, they always say, I want you to ring that bell before you even see what they're all about.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, and I go on and say, well, why would you want to do that? And I say, don't ring any stupid bells unless you actually think that what you're getting from me is worth doing it for. Yes. But every moron in the world, it goes about doing it that way, which is kind of ass backwards. My life will continue to be working on comics. My life is comics. I love that more than anything else. The creative process of illustrated fiction in storytelling form is endlessly challenging. And the other day, I actually thought for the first time, I'd never thought like this before, but I thought, am I going to have enough time to do everything that I have ambitions for? And the answer is going to be no. So I guess the only thing you can do is remember why you're doing this, work as hard as you need to produce as much as you can in this lifetime, this brief lifetime that we have, and make sure it's worthy of the people that came before me, the Kirbys and the Hal Fosters and the Alex Raymonds and the illustrators that I love. I need to be part of that chain of what I consider to be the art that I'm most fond of and love the most, and do everything I can to impart the way I think and the people that I admire to others. So that's a huge part of it. You need to give back at this point when you reach your 60s for sure. But then there's just really the comic book nexus that I'm doing, which seem to be big stories, like at least 100 pages.
Oh, wow.
So there's that going. I think they're always going to be 100 pages or more. So there's that. So that's going to take up the time that all lives are made up of. And then if I ever get a proper offer or meet the right people to do the show with me, that's going to be full-time. And I'm constantly writing about it and writing my thoughts down at this point in my life. I've got, in my sketchbooks, I've got probably as many written notes to myself about what I want and what I'm worried about and what I struggle through and everything. Just a bunch of honest feedback to myself, as much as there are drawings in the sketchbook. So for whatever reason, that's kind of the format of what I'm involved in right now, writing my thoughts and then drawing my studies to keep myself knowing what I know, because Um, I find that if you don't constantly reinforce what you've learned, it shouldn't be like this if life was fair, but you'll get worse in time if you don't constantly keep up that study part of your life.
Right.
That you need to constantly reinforce what you've learned so you don't get worse.
Yeah. And especially with art, because it's such a degrading skill set, right? Like you have to constantly be working on it. You can take a break, and somebody like yourself who's been doing it for so long can get right back to it and not have slipped back too many steps. But somebody like me, if I don't draw every day and I take a week off and I get back to the page, I'm noticing it's way harder than it was a week ago.
Yeah, well, we're no different, James. That's exactly how I look at it too. And that's something that I think is good to talk about on the live streams. What I try to talk about on these live streams are the things that no one else ever talks about. Basically it's honest content, where I don't hide things. I don't shortchange people. I don't sugarcoat it. And I talk the way I only know how to talk, period, which is reveal, don't conceal. It's kind of how I say it.
Yeah.
Because nobody benefits from when you conceal something or pretend you're better than what you are. Frazetta never uses a reference, or you can do everything out of his head in 5 minutes. That's the kind of stuff I wanted to spell. It's just a bunch of nonsense.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the perception, though, isn't that people have?
Yeah, and I want to get rid of that stuff. It's not real life, and all it does is just make people feel even worse about the time they have to put into the work to be good at something.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it was a big eye-opener for me when Jim Lee started drawing on his live streams, because I would see him do what I considered a beautiful figure, and then he would erase the whole thing or erase and I'm like, oh, Jim Lee erases all the time. Like he makes mistakes. And it was so relatable because we have this perception of only seeing the finished work. And, oh, that's amazing. I could never do that. But to see him go through the trial and error process, just like anybody else, is so relatable and removed a lot of stumbling blocks I think I was facing as an artist, trying to make it perfect right out the gate.
Yeah, that's most of what people used to talk about with their abilities and how they would pull things off. Back when it was allowable to do such things, it's just an illusion.
Yeah.
I make sure that I dispel every illusion that I possibly can to give people a fighting chance to do what they want to do in life, which is work hard and hopefully get better through hard work.
Well, I know you're not one for too much self-promotion and ringing the bell, but I want to encourage everybody to support your YouTube, because it's an amazing resource for any aspiring artists. I'm going to just say artists, not even comic artists, because that's really what you're teaching, is how to be an illustrator, how to be an artist. And I think that's so important. I remember my friend Ron Garney was critiquing one of my drawings, and he goes, James, stop calling yourself a comic artist. He's like, you need to look at yourself as an artist. You're saying I want to be a comic artist, but really you need to get good at the traditional fundamentals of art and illustration and to work on that. And that was another big revelation for me. Like, I'm putting myself in this box, but like you were saying, you're trying to learn as much as you can and be good at every aspect of art. You're not just narrowing it down to one medium or just pencil and ink comic art. You're saying, I want to learn it all.
That's right. And there's also kind of something that takes place as you age, if you're not someone who is self-delusional, and that is you feel like you know far less in the context of every great artist that ever lived. I exist in a very low place, I would say. But not through lack of trying. I try really hard because I like doing that. I like trying really hard, and I like practicing. I love practicing. But if you look at me in the context of the entire history of great artists, I would say I barely rank.
That's a healthy approach to it.
But I love comics. Comics is just is where it's at. You can't do anything in another field that you do in comic books, which is to draw. So you have to like to draw, and you want to see the things in your head, just like a novelist wants to see his words come to life. That's a life challenge, and it doesn't stop. It just keeps going.
I remember one of my favorite Kirby quotes about comics and the approach to creating comics that was like, what makes it so special is you're only limited by the cost of your tools and your pencil and your imagination. Like you have he would say you had an unlimited budget, like whatever your mind could come up with, you can do in comics. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, it's if you can think like that, you're ahead of most people. The worst thing you can ever do is think you're more than what you are.
Yeah,
that's just 100% detrimental, and it's also painful to think you're better than you really are. And I like kind of feeling very self-effacing. It feels comfortable to me because all the people I've learned from are people I aspire to be as good as. And just aspiring is a noble pursuit in itself.
We've talked a lot about the legends that inspire you. Are there any current artists that you look at, you see their work and you pull from, or you're inspired by?
Yeah, there's current artists that I like. Especially if you go to the fine art field, there's amazing practitioners out there. And this is where I look at myself in context and see that these guys have abilities far above anything I could ever do or would want to do. What I want to do is be as good as the people that I bring up in interviews, like in comics, it would be, the ones I keep bringing up, Hal Foster and Jack Kirby and Paul Gulacy from Master of Kung Fu, and but the process, the fun of the process is you seeing what other people do and trying to and using that the way you should use it as something to make your own work stronger. That's fun for me. So I'm always a student. There's no such thing as mastery. And to pretend there is how dummies think.
Yeah, I know this from martial arts training, many years of martial arts training. And it's like you get to the point where you're smart enough to know how much you don't actually know in the grand scheme of things. And I think that applies to art as well.
Well, Bruce Lee talked about, I don't know if he said this or it's something that I've made up on my own. I think it's something I've kind of made up on my own, but I think of knowledge in 3 steps. And it goes back to when you were trying to ride a bike. And the first stage is falling off the bike.
Right.
You can't even imagine how you could stay on these skinny 2 wheels and go forward from there. And the second stage is not falling off the bike and getting really good at riding the bike. And the third stage is forgetting you're even riding the bike. And I think that's kind of where I'm at right now, because if I try to explain things in normal terms, like the way other people are better at than I am, I have to come back to earth and regress my thinking. And I'm getting better at doing that because it's important for me to, when I'm talking to people on the website or the YouTube thing, you have to come down to earth and give them very specific and understandable terms that they can use when the live stream is off the air. They have to go back to their drawing board, and if they're not taking something with them that you imparted, then you're not doing a very good job of imparting stuff.
Very well said. as we come here to the end, is there anything else that you would like to promote or make everybody aware of?
To promote? No.
Okay.
It's like you said, James, I'm not a big promoter. I wish someone else would just take care of that. And I think most artists feel the same way. They want someone else to do their books and to do the promo. We just want to do the damn work. I think the only people that are happy in life are those that have had a sense of what they need to do in their lifetime, because what everyone eventually finds out is that the years get faster and faster as you age.
They do.
The last year is gone by so fast, and I expect the rest of the years of my life to do exactly that. So I think it's a combination of thinking of people that died young and could never fulfill what they would want still be doing were they alive, and remember how fragile life is, and knowing that you're still here. The happiest people are those that know they need to fulfill what they're here for and continue to do that, what they stand for, what they like to do, and then you're gone. So what do you have when you're gone? You need things that are, if you haven't done your part to pass on the things that you think are the most valuable to people who are coming up, which is the way the world works. You go from the youngest kid in town to the middle-aged kid, and then finally you're looking at people that you used to laugh at and say, well, I'll never be like that. Well, you are going to get like that, but young, that always helps, which I do all the time. I don't consider myself to be the age that I'm at, 68. It sounds ridiculous to me. But if you're not aware of what you need to be doing and you're not doing it, you're not going to be happy. And your life is meant to be not miserable, but fulfilled and happy. I'm not a happy guy, but I feel very fulfilled. And that is kind of what props me up for the last 60 years, and will do tomorrow and the day after that until I'm not here anymore.
Well, sir, I can't think of any better way to end the episode. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. It was truly an honor. Hang out with me here for a moment while I give my little spiel before we end the show. Everybody, make sure, even though he will not promote himself, I'm going to promote him. I want to send you guys over to his YouTube channel. I want you to look up all the different Kickstarters that they have going on. If you just search his name over on Kickstarter, you'll be able to find that. The podcast now has a Patreon. If you want to give a little extra support, you can go to patreon.com/@nerdymewzings. And in the meantime, everybody, keep it nerdy. What's up, everybody? Once again, it is I, James, coming to you from the Nerdy Mewzings podcast studio. Today, we are recording on Halloween. The spooktacular Jim Mahfood is here. We are celebrating the successful full funding of the Kickstarter Arachnid Enforcer. Jim,
Yes.
How you doing today, buddy?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm great. I'm in a very good mood. It's
I caught you
it's
just at the
over.
right time.
It's over. Thank God. No, yeah, man, it huge relief, and huge thanks to everyone, including yourself, for who
My pleasure,
supported
man. Yeah.
the campaign. I've got like a real nice thing going with this Defective Comics label that I've created where I want to keep doing one of these every year. And in October specifically, because they're all kind of somewhat spook related, and I get to go to New York Comic Con and promote the Kickstarter while it's happening in New York. That always helps. But yeah, man, I've struck like a really good formula, I think, with these weird one-shot, 48-page, one and done parody comics, and it's just super fun to write and draw my own stuff. That's sort of all I want to do, and the fact that people are on board for it is hugely gratifying for me.
Definitely, yeah. And you know, the listeners may not know, but kickstarting is very hard. It's not something that just happens. Like it's a lot of work. And I think even somebody like yourself would attest that even though you've done successful Kickstarters in the past, like every time it's kind of like, okay, are we gonna hit our marks? Is everything gonna go smoothly? Like, what's that been like for you? Has it gotten easier with each one, or is there still a little trepidation there, wondering if it's gonna, you know, get funded as quickly, or if you're gonna meet the stretch goals that you would like to hit and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it is a lot to consider. I mean, this is really only my second comic book Kickstarter.
Okay.
My buddy Roston Meyer and I made a pop-up book, and we did a Kickstarter for that in 2020. That went well. It went really successful. Ross makes custom pop-up books and does those through Kickstarter as a living. So he has helped manage and run the 3 Kickstarters that I've done. But last year with Savage Street Vigilante, this Kickstarter, technically my first comic book Kickstarter, man. And it, you know, it's fully creator owned. I'm doing these, like I said, as just one and done comic books. So I really had no idea what to expect. And Street Vigilante went well enough that I thought, I want to keep doing these. I think there's an audience for this. And then with Arachnid, I was so relieved because on day one, launch day, I did basically double what I did on launch day of Street Vigilante.
Oh,
so I was like,
amazing,
okay, I feel like I have something going here, some momentum. But you really do. I have to work with Ross because he knows the ins and outs of all the secrets of building the campaign, how to present your page, how to deal with Kickstarter. It was much easier doing the second one because since we're making sort of the same product, when we were setting up the page, we're basically cutting and pasting a lot from last year onto this year's page and just replacing the word Savage Street Vigilante with Arachnid Enforcer. Because it's still a 48-page book.
Yeah.
We have variant covers. We have original art. So if you want to kickstart and you kind of have the idea of making kind of a consistent product, I think that's advantageous to you as a creator.
Yeah, it's part of that formula. You know, it sounds like you found that formula that works. So why deviate from it a whole lot, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
It's such a niche thing. Like I love, like, because it's obvious what has inspired these different projects, like which characters and things. Like you said, it's parody. And so take me back with Savage Street Vigilante. How long had you been kind of thinking about doing something like that?
Yeah, for a long time, I always wanted to do like a Cape Crusader parody book. And I finally pulled the trigger and started working on this last year. And I was just going to self-publish it and release it at New York Comic Con last year as just like a 22-page comic book. And then I wound up showing it around to friends of mine. And I was in Pittsburgh and I showed it to Jim Rugg and Tom Scioli. And those guys were like, man, this is perfect for Kickstarter. Like, you should do this as a Kickstarter comic. And I was like, I don't know if I want the spotlight on it. I don't know if I want to get in trouble. Like, and then it just so happened that Kickstarter, like a bunch of people started doing parody comics through Kickstarter. And My buddies in Long Beach, California, Long Beach Ink and Drink crew, they did a book called Sewer Boys, where they recreated the entire
what
first issue
of
the original Mirage Turtles.
Nice.
They just remixed it, redid the whole first issue. And I'm like, if these guys are getting away with this, like I could do my weird not Cape Crusader book. And and now, man, there seems to be this accepted genre of parody comics that are happening in the indie comic book scene, not just in America, but I feel like all over the world. And everyone seems to be facilitating it through Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I mostly just know the Kickstarter world, and those are the books that I support from friends of mine. Mm-hmm. So, and Kickstarter has been very receptive and supportive of these two projects I've done. You know, they've given me like the badge of a project we love. In the first couple days, it seems like I was on the homepage for several days.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
If you go to Kickstarter.com and just hit comics, I was on that front page, man, for like the first week or so of my campaign. So that brings so many eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it makes sense to me because I started in the 90s just making my own zines and mini comics at like Kinko's.
Right.
And Kickstarter is almost like the internet version of that, where it's like, you do everything, you do all the work. This is all your responsibility. You build the page, you do everything. And instead of having them brick and mortar record store or coffee shop or comic book store have your self-published book on it, Kickstarter is now the virtual space where that product exists. Yeah. And you're able to promote and advertise, and your fans and your people go there to pick up what you're offering.
Yeah, so it really is. It is like the digital Kinko's of today. I remember going out to Kinko's because, you know, we didn't all have a scanner or a printer that could do large format, and we needed to scan our stuff and, you know, or blow up a thumbnail that you wanted to transfer to 11 by 17 or whatever it may be. Like, that was a fun time.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I still do that sometimes with covers that I'm working on, where I will, and I have a big enough scanner and a big enough printer, but there's something about the grassroots part of like, I just put in my headphones and have music on, and I'll go to Kinko's and I'll have my 11 by 17 Bristol board, and I'll just blow up the thumbnail or parts of the thumbnail and just put it on the Bristol and be like, okay, what do I really want to do with this cover here? There's something, but that's my generation of like, we just did that anyway. The photocopy machine was like a tool for us. And I sometimes still like having that be a piece of my art, even though it's sort of irreverent. Like, you don't really need it, but
are you still somebody that appreciates the tactile nature of traditionally drawing?
Oh yeah. That's still my main jam, is like ink on paper. And, you know, I'll clean things up in Photoshop and color stuff in Procreate, but the black and white art is still completely generated on paper. Just because I've drawn on Procreate, I've drawn digitally, it's all good, but the desired effect I get is most effective with ink and the tools I'm using on that Bristol board, man. Like there's just something about it. It's just what I've known for so long that
well, take me back long ago to when it sounds to me like you've pretty much always been creative and wanting to do something in the comics medium. Like, where did all that start for you? Like, how young were you when you started getting into comics and started creating your own little fanzines and types of things?
Yeah, I got into it really young because I discovered comics at the local grocery store where I would go with my mom every Friday. Like, they had a magazine rack with Mad Magazine and Marvel and DC comics. So I started picking up Spider-Man and Batman comics and G.I. Joe in the like mid 80s. You know, like I've got books that I started getting in like 83, 84, 85. So I quickly started making my own like loose leaf versions of comics like Spider-Man and that kind of thing and stapling them together. And eventually this is where the fascination with photocopying comes in. My dad eventually started taking my originals to his office and photocopying them so that
there you go.
I had like 3 or 4 sets that I could staple and give out to my homies in the neighborhood that I would ride dirt bikes with and stuff. So this idea, man, very, very young of being like, I can make a thing and reproduce it and then hand it to someone.
Yeah.
That's a crazy idea. And I was, like bitten by that bug very early, probably like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And so I got really, really serious about it when I was in high school. And I got lucky because I grew up in St. Louis and there was a local independent publisher in St. Louis called Artline Studios. And it was this dude, Lorenzo, who was from New York, and this guy, Ed, who was from Illinois. They got together and started self-publishing black and white indie comics. And I met them when I was about 15, and they kind of hired me as their like understudy apprentice. So I was inking backgrounds on pages and doing erasing work. And, but it was all grunt work. But really what it was is, since it was pre-internet, these 2 guys were 10 years older than me, and they basically showed me the ropes of how comic books were made. Yeah. So they're like, this is the paper you use, this is the ink tools, this is Zipatone, this is a T-square.
Here's how big the pages actually are, the stuff that we're like, whoa, what? They draw them big.
Yeah. I think that was probably the first time I discovered that everything was drawn oversized.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that really like got my engines firing on how do I make my mark in all this. And then I left St. Louis when I was 18 and went to art school in Kansas City. And again, I met like the right people in art school, the comics guys, and started making indie comics, self-publishing my own stuff. That's when my creator-owned Girl Scouts book, I started doing that as a self-published thing in like 1995, 30 years ago. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
And then that stuff just kind of started leading to me getting actual like paying work, to the point where senior year of college, I got hired by Marvel to write and draw this X-Men one-shot, this Generation X Underground special.
Yeah.
And that's what opened the door for me for everything, dude. Because after that, I met Kevin Smith and got the Clerks comic book gig.
Yep.
And then that was like, okay, I'm now fully making a living as a freelance illustrator. No more day job. This is my life now. Like, let's just go for it and see what happens.
That's amazing. Like, was there ever a doubt in your mind that that was the direction you wanted to go? Like, it sounds like you were on the art path. Like, obviously you probably had some, like you said, a day job to make it ends to a means, but like comics was the direction you were going in from a pretty early point from art school on, right? Like you knew, like, and you're running into all these different people, the right people at the right time. And then it just kind of sounds like it kind of just snowballed pretty quick for you.
Yeah, it's funny because when you're younger, time moves way slower.
Yes.
So when I was with the Artline Studios guys, when I was 15, we were going to conventions and still waiting in line for Marvel and DC editors and showing them what we were making. So I waited in lines from the time I was 15 to the time I was about 21 when I got the Marvel gig. So I did go through about like 6 years of solid rejection from editors. And so that was the only moment of doubt where I was like, man, maybe I don't know if this is my path, but I feel like, no, it is. I'm going to make it work somehow.
Yeah.
And what made it work, man, was me just kind of realizing like, I don't think I'm going to be working as a monthly guy for Marvel or DC. Let me just keep going down this self-publishing route. And ironically, those self-published books got the attention of a young editor at Marvel that was like, why don't we just do an indie, like underground zine comic for the Gen X X-Men kids? Like that's a perfect
combo.
fit.
Yeah.
So it's just, I did get very lucky. It's also like right place, right time. I went to San Diego Comic-Con in 97.
Oh man, the early days.
Right place, right time. The Oni Press was there, and they just so happened to be looking for the artist for the Clerks comic book. So Kevin Smith was there at the show. I met Kevin. They had the cover illustration done by Gilbert Hernandez that was like hanging in their booth. And I was talking to Bob Schreck, the co-founder of the company and the main editor-in-chief. And I was like, oh man, Gilbert Hernandez, like that's awesome. He's like, yeah, we don't have the interior artist though yet. He's like looking through my samples. He's like, maybe it's you. Maybe we need to talk. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Wow. So I met Kevin, we all started talking. And then it wasn't until I got home after the convention that Bob started calling me and was like, okay, why don't you start making some sketches for us? Like start drawing the characters. Let me get Kevin excited. I think you're the guy for the gig. I think we want like an unknown indie guy.
Yeah.
And then again, dude, like luck, and Kevin was cool enough to sign off on me doing it. And when that book came out, that was like, now I have a career. Like everyone sort of knew my name, and I was doing signings with Kevin at conventions, and there was like lines wrapped around the convention center. And I'm just this 22-year-old kid who's just part of the Kevin Smith mayhem because, Chasing Amy had just come out and it was a big success, and it put him back in the spotlight. So, it was just a great time, man. A lot of good memories.
So take me from there. Where did you go after working on the Clerks book? Because I know how this arc goes, because now we're back more into the indie stuff nowadays with your creator-owned stuff and the Kickstarters and everything. But from Clerks, where did you end up going from there? What was your next big project that you remember working on?
Yeah, with comics, I stayed with Oni Press and started doing Girl Scouts and creator-owned books with Oni. And then the other crazy thing, man, was at this time I started to get more and more freelance illustration work in the like music industry. I started getting attention from bands to do like poster art, flyers, album covers. I was living in Arizona at the time, and every Thursday night I was also doing live painting, live art on stage at one of the #1 underground hip hop nights in Arizona history. So DJ Z Trip and DJ Emil and Radar. So record producers from LA would go to Arizona, and they would go to the Thursday night event.
Like
and they
scouting
and trying to talk to Z Trip, because Z Trip became a super huge DJ.
Yeah.
And they would also hit me up and be like, hey, do you have a business card? Like, we're looking for art. And then eventually I started doing a little freelance animation work, character design for shows over at Cartoon Network, some things that didn't even get picked up, but that very simple style I was doing on Clerks, the very kind of graphic graffiti style, animation and other people started picking up on that style and realizing like, hey, this would actually work for like animation, and this would work for this or that. So, yeah, man, it was cool because, there was no way to predict any of this. I would just get phone calls and emails from people. And then this was all like 98, 99. And then hitting 2000, suddenly Brian Bendis is calling me, and I'm doing like Ultimate Marvel Team Up issue with him at Marvel. So now I'm back at Marvel, and I'm doing a Spidey issue with Brian, And he's one of their golden boys at the time because
Oh,
he's brought
totally.
them the success of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So Ultimate Marvel Team Up was sort of this book that Marvel gave Brian where they're like, okay, you can write this book and have your weirdo indie friends illustrate all the individual issues of it. So he got like me, Matt Wagner, Mike Allred, Ted McKeever, Sienkiewicz, you know, like, so the list goes on. And then Axel Alonso started hitting me up and I started doing some Spider-Man fill-ins here and there at Marvel. So from that point on, I sort of always ping-ponged back and forth between indie, mainstream, high-end illustration gigs that like usually pay more money than comics.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, that's how it is to this day. Like I just finished a new, another loading screen for the Fortnite video game. I've done like 8 or 9 for them now over the last
That's
3 years.
awesome.
And this goes without saying, but like video game money is like
Video game money is different.
better than comic book money.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm lucky where I get people hiring me for my style to be me. If it fits in something perfectly, like Fortnite, for example, you know, that world is so wacky and bizarre that I love drawing those characters, and those art directors know that I can do that material, and they just let me.
You can
go
speak
nuts
the
and have fun.
language.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, it sounds like even though you have, you know, been in the mainstream sector from time to time, like your heart lies in the indie scene. Like that's where most of your passion comes from, and your origin, where your origin resides. So I asked Sam this because I'm newer to the indie and underground comic scene, and it's really cool. Like Sam had me do a pinup for his new Kickstarter and everything, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, man. Like I love it. It takes me back to those days of just being a kid and creating our own stuff and everything, and not having this huge like amount of pressure on yourself, just like creating to have fun. So I asked Sam this, and I'll ask you, like, to you, what makes the indie / underground scene special, and what makes it stand apart from mainstream? Like, what is it that you love about it so much?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the actual producing of the work, like I do my best work when I'm just completely left alone and don't have to answer to anyone or even turn in ideas or get notes from an editor. Like I'm not opposed to working with an editor, and I have to work with art directors when I do these big illustration gigs like Fortnite. Like they want to see sketches. They want to talk about the direction and the composition. And so, you know, you as a freelancer, you have to, I feel like, do both and be open-minded to work with people and make a client happy. But at the end of the day, man, the indie scene for me, the draw is, this is the world where I don't have to answer to anyone. I can just do whatever I want, the weirdest, most bugged out stuff. And it seems like, and especially with these last 2 Kickstarters I've done, it seems like the more unhinged I get to be, the more my fans respond to the work in a positive way.
Yeah.
And it seems like the timing of it is working better every year where, okay, let me just be me and then let's roll the dice and see if people respond. And they are responding. Yeah. So I just feel like I'm getting very lucky. And I'm even doing some freelance cover work for people right now where I haven't been doing sketches for them, and I just turn in the finished covers. Like I've been doing stuff for Vault on Post Malone's Big Rig series.
Nice.
And they didn't ask me for sketches from the get-go. So I sort of was like, let me just roll the dice here and just turn in what I want to do, just the finished cover, colored and everything, and just see what they say. And they loved it enough that they were like, okay, dude, we know that you just want to be left alone. Like, whatever. Just do the covers. Like, you know, we can't be like super crazy, no nudity. Like,
right.
but like, do your thing. But the editors there, shout out to my boy Adrian, but the editors there were smart enough to be like, we get it. You want to be on your own. Okay. Just turn it on time and give us the most like badass shit you can give us. So I have a great relationship with them where I'm getting away with my indie, like philosophy.
Yes.
But doing it for other companies and but dude, with Marvel and stuff, it's like, no, they want sketches. You know?
To give us a few thumbnails. We'll approve the one we like. Yeah. Well, you know, with the indie stuff, it sounds like you're getting to be genuinely yourself, and you're having fun in the creative process. And I can't help but think that comes through, that comes across in the work.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. And when I look at people's indie work, for me, it's more of you're getting to see more of the creator and who they are and what their tastes are, and so you're getting like unfiltered, visionary work from individuals. And this goes back to like Crumb and the Underground guys, Spain Rodriguez, the Hernandez brothers, even the original Mirage Ninja Turtles, Eastman and Laird books. It's like, these are just individual people making these books themselves from scratch. Like there's no committee involved. So you're getting this beautiful, unfiltered way of a creator expressing themselves in the storytelling medium of comics, where it also, man, shows to the world and to aspiring storytellers, if you want to make film, but you're worried about having a crew, if you want to make music, but you're worried about having a band and people flaking out on you, comics is one of the storytelling mediums where you can literally just do all of this on your own.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work. It's a shitload of work, but you can make a comic book from scratch as one sole individual person. And I love that part of it, man. That process of like, this is all on me, man. This is all my world.
That's really cool. Is there so now, as fun as the indie stuff is and how much freedom there is in it, is there any big mainstream project that if you had the opportunity, like if you got dangled a Spider-Man book or a Batman book or something for Marvel or DC, is that something that you'd be interested in, or would you want to, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
would you want to write it? Would you want to have that level of control over it? Or is that something you could be happy doing, working with somebody else with a little more creative restriction on you, I guess? Would it depend on how much they were turning the screws to you? It's got to be this way, or just do what you want, you know?
It depends. It like when I worked with Brian Bendis, he knew how to write for me, you know? And so yes, I mean, I definitely would do a project like that for Marvel or DC. The parody books I've done are because I love these characters. It's not me. I don't think it's me making fun of the characters. Like, I've been a Batman and Spider-Man fanatic since I was a little kid. So this is kind of my homage or love letter to that. And the direction that like DC's going at this point, man, I feel like, why don't they just give me an absolute Batman?
I feel like they should, dude. Like, I mean, the way out was that annual that just came out.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say, I just picked up that annual on Wednesday and was reading it last night. And Daniel Warren and James Herron are homies of mine. I love their work. But dude, if that book was in black and white, it would basically be an indie comic book.
Would.
I mean, they're
100%.
reaching the level of creator first mentality of like, okay, now there's more room in the sandbox to play with this stuff. And I'll be curious to see if Marvel does a version of that.
I've been waiting for them to do their version of this style of comics that obviously people are craving, because I mean, look at all the success that Absolute Batman is having. Like it's clearly the fans are showing you like, hey, we love this stuff and we want more of it. So yeah, I've kind of been sitting back waiting to see what their response is going to be, like their version of this.
Yeah. It's funny, man. After New York Comic Con, I did get hit up by a buddy of mine who works at Marvel to do a small amount of interiors for a project that I can't announce yet. But it was sort of like the first time Marvel's offered me interiors in a really long time. And this editor, Danny, he's given me some cover work in the past on Spider-Punk and Iron Man recently. So he's a fan of my work. But for me, it's kind of like, okay, Danny, I'll do these interiors, but after this, like, we need to talk about, just give me a Ghost Rider miniseries. Give me Spider-Man. Give me like a 4-issue.
Yeah, we've done the 2 for you. Now we need to do the 1 for me.
Right.
Yeah, so you'd be amazing on a Ghost Rider book. There's several books you'd be great on, but I could see you on a Ghost Rider book for sure.
It would be really fun. It's weird because I'm still such a huge fan of comic books in general, but it's odd that in comics, one thing I always wrestle with is like, it's weird that the measure of success is still Marvel and DC. It's sort of been like that since the beginning of the industry, and that's the only drawback to me of being more of an indie guy. Is it's like the mark of success or recognition is still like, well,
have you done anything for Marvel or DC?
You got to do something for the big 2. And, and for me, I'm like, but Eastman and Laird never did anything for the big 2. And to me, they're like two of the biggest winners of all time in the history of comic books. What they created.
100%.
You know?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about, because I'm discovering a lot of this anew, the Savage Street Vigilante book, which I'm excited because I back the tier of Arachnid Enforcer, where I'm also going to get the Savage Street Vigilante. And so I wanted to ask you, you said, it's parody. And whenever money gets involved, that's when it gets a little sketchy with, like, have you received any cease and desist letters or anything? Or is it enough parody where you haven't felt that pressure? No one said anything. Because you said it's kind of like, seems like it's kind of being supported right now.
Yeah, like no one has said anything. And also, I know so many people in the industry at different levels that before I launched the Kickstarter for Street Vigilante, I started sending pages out to people, not necessarily at DC, but like friends, like big high ranking people in comics that I'm like, do you think this is just going to be instant trouble? And everyone was like, I think that because you're doing it on Kickstarter and it's so obviously a parody that the companies, knock on wood, dude, the companies seem to be looking the other way right now. And also, I feel like because Warner Brothers makes like $1 billion a year off of Batman as an IP, my little Kickstarter one-shot comic that I put out is not in any way a threat to them.
Yeah, not a threat whatsoever. Yeah, that makes sense. For the listeners or the viewers who aren't familiar, give the breakdown about Savage Street Vigilante.
Yeah.
Because we know it's obviously a Batman parody.
Yeah.
But take me through this. I have to know, like, because it's such a great parody, like such a great idea.
Yeah, I'll say this though too, because when I describe it, people are going to be like, that kind of sounds like absolute Batman. I was coming up with this.
This was before.
Right before they announced Absolute Batman. But my character is like this crazed street brawler vigilante who's been doing this job for a couple decades, and his brain gets injected by his arch enemy with venom that makes him go crazy. So he just snaps and finally decides to take out his entire rogues gallery of villains.
So he doesn't have the don't kill rule.
Right. And so it's his final mission. It's his final story of like, the book, if it's not obvious, it pays homage to like 80s VHS, B-movie, grindhouse vigilante stuff like Charles Bronson and the Death Wish movies.
Oh, there you go.
And it's very grimy. It's very violent. There's, gore, sex, and violence. The Arachnid Enforcer book is a much like lighter book because I feel like Spidey's a lighter character.
Spidey is much lighter, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to make the books reflect the original source material a bit, but it's like Street Vigilante's like, what if Dark Knight Returns went like really wrong? Like, what if it went real off the rails?
Yeah.
Like, what's that story? What's this guy's actual final story? And I don't want to spoil the ending, but I think it has.
Yeah, don't spoil it because I haven't got it yet. I probably already know too much, but I don't want the ending spoiled for anybody that's listening. Because my hope is that people hear this and discover this for the first time too, and get into this indie world and supporting your projects. So that's one of the nice things about being somebody who just discovered something. Now I get to go back and check all this cool stuff out that you've done.
Oh yeah. And I think that's the thing too, is like always keep your back catalog of stuff available to people, because there's always new fans. There's always new people following on social media and even with Arachnid Enforcer, like we're keeping the late pledge option going on the Kickstarter.
Perfect.
Through probably December, because we can't do the fulfillment until early next year anyway.
Yeah.
So I did that with Street Vigilante, and it worked out where your Kickstarter ends, but it sort of doesn't really end. It ends in the sense that you're not aggressively promoting for 30 days straight to the point of like you're annoying everyone around you, and your fans are like, yeah, we get it. We're tired of hearing about this project.
Yeah.
That's the fine line too, man, with promoting is like how much is too much.
Yeah, that's got to be a little tightrope to walk on. Well, since people can still do a late pledge option by the time they're listening to this, why don't you give the little elevator pitch on Arachnid Enforcer?
Yes. Arachnid is about what if everyone's favorite wall crawler did not learn the great power, great responsibility philosophy, and he was kind of a selfish dickhead who used his power just for financial gain. So him and his little Muppet manager sidekick, Gangster Boogie, they get
who
paid.
By the way, not to interrupt, but who, by the way, is becoming the standout star. Like before this has even come out, like Gangster Boogie is all everybody's talking about now.
Yeah. Dude, that was a complete surprise to me, which is the most fun thing that came out of the campaign was
totally
this joke. It was just a joke. I was like, I'll just make his sidekick like this Muppet guy. Like, and then people started responding to that, and now he has almost more of a bigger following than Arachnid.
That's so
the
funny.
main character. But so now I'm kind of like, I need to spin off Gangster Boogie into his
I can
own
already
thing
see what the
down the
wheels
road.
are turning.
Down the road. But so Gangster and Arachnid, they get paid by bad guys to take out other bad guys.
Okay.
To take out the competition. So they're sort of helping things out by taking out bad guys, but it's all just for their own financial gain. So the townspeople of this Halloween town are sort of against them and consider Arachnid a menace.
Yeah.
So something happens to where our hero has to learn, like, is he going to change? Is he actually going to learn and embrace to be a hero?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, without revealing too much, that's kind of the twist of the story is like, is this guy going to get his shit together and actually learn to be a good guy. And I think people will be pleasantly surprised by it and really entertained by it. And like I said, it's much more jokey, lighter book compared to Street Vigilante. There's still violence and there's still kind of a Halloween dark imagery, kind of spooky vibes to it, but it's a more playful world.
And I'm assuming there's a Mary Jane analog somewhere in this story as well, right?
Yeah. Melody Jade.
There you go.
Is a hot goth, like witchy girl.
Perfect.
Who is the daughter of the main bad guy in the book.
Okay.
And of course, Arachnid Enforcer immediately falls in love with her when he sees her.
Of course.
And she doesn't want anything to do with him, but they wind up having to be forced to like team up to go on a mission together.
I love it.
And I'll kind of leave it at that. But yeah, I have this nice dynamic of like Arachnid, Gangster Boogie, the girl, the main bad guy, all kind of playing off each other throughout the story. And the thing is that's cool, man, with these one and dones is you just have 48 pages to tell like a cool, quick story with some character arcs in it, some surprises, hopefully, some scenes of action, some comedy moments, some character moments. But I love the idea of like, you don't have to know the lore. You don't have to know anything. These are just one and done comic books that you can pick up. That's how I collected comics when I was a kid. Like I said, I'd go to the newsstand.
Yes.
And if they didn't have Amazing Spider-Man, I would pick up Web of Spider-Man, but I didn't really have the previous issue. But at the time, the books they were just one and done. It's like, Spidey in this one fights the Vulture.
Yeah, there wasn't arcs. There wasn't these arcs that went through 5 different titles and you had to pick up each one to know what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were self-contained. And it was really special. Like you just never knew what you were going to get on any given week when you went there, you know?
Yeah. Always a surprise.
I missed that a little bit.
Yeah.
Now we know about stuff like far in advance too. It's like you know what's coming out and what to be expecting. Like back in the day, you just show up like before all the solicitations and Diamond and everything else. And like, whoa, what's this? Like, I didn't know this was my favorite artist is doing this book. Like,
yeah. It's still fun if you can to go to the comic shop blind, like without knowing what's coming out, and just to stroll. I try and go like once every 2 weeks just to see like what's on the shelves. But I did go specifically on Wednesday to get the Batman, the Absolute Batman.
I have to go.
Annual.
I bought it digitally. I bought it digitally so I could read it right away, but I have a few copies waiting at the shop I'm going to go pick up after this. So
there
I've
you
got
go.
some of the variant covers and everything. I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Jim, I know you have a hard out, so I don't want to keep you much longer. Many people might know you from the Ink Pulp podcast as well, with Eric and Sean and Mateo and everybody. I've been joking. I'm collecting all the Ink Pulp guys. I've had Eric on. Sean's coming on. Yeah, Sean's coming on next month. Mateo, I just talked to him. He's going to be coming on. I've got you. How do you get involved with the Ink Pulp crew? We'll end on this note and let everybody know where they can catch you on there and where to follow you on all your socials.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I met Eric Canetti years ago when I was living in Los Angeles because he was living out there and we would occasionally run into each other at Drink and Draw. So Dave Johnson and Dan Panosian and Jeff Johnson hosted the LA Drink and Draw. So I knew Eric just casually through that. And then I met Sean and Mateo together because they're always together at conventions, like as a dynamic duo. And they were like the other bearded guys. I was like, I know those guys. And then eventually Sean, like, is such a warm guy. Sean started inviting me to like dinners at conventions. And then in 2020, when everyone was locked down, Sean went from doing the Ink Pulp podcast from an audio only podcast to video. Yeah. And then we all started doing video jam sessions where we would hang out and ink and draw together. And he was posting those on his YouTube page. And then, just in the last year or two, he kind of flipped it and just reformatted everything and brought in this great editor, producer, our boy Jazzy Jamie Wood.
Yeah,
is
Jamie's
editing
awesome.
and producing the show, making all the clips you see online. Yep. And that really elevated the professionalism of everything. And then, so there's the Ink Pulp podcast, the interview show. And then Sean had the idea over a year ago of him and I doing a separate show called Ink Pulp Live. And that's the one we do every 2 weeks roughly on Wednesday nights. And that's a live stream. And that's us hanging out, drawing, and having incredible guests on, man. Like we just had Humberto Ramos on.
I saw that.
We had
that one. Amazing.
We had Art Adams on like
I saw that
a month
one
ago.
Too. Yep.
So that's our show where we get down, have fun, draw live for 2 hours, and try to bring on other professionals to jam with us. But that podcast stuff and YouTube stuff, it does bring you like a whole new audience of people.
For sure.
It works. It's nice. And we have a whole, Sean will tell you more about this, but we have a whole community from all this now. There's an Ink Pulp Patreon and an Ink Pulp Discord. And the Discord is super active, man, with young and older indie cartoonists and people posting art and all sorts of crazy stuff that is, it's its own thing now. Like it's beyond
awesome.
What we started. It's its own ecosystem, dude. It's really cool to see.
Well, and watching you guys draw on there together, it takes me back to the old studio days. Like a lot of people don't realize like that was the thing. Like if you want to talk about Wildstorm, Top Cow, any of those, like they were all there together drawing in the same space.
Right.
This is the modern version of that. So it's cool to get to see. And I know it's cool for you guys because art is such a solitary thing. So being able to get on there and chat and be inspired by each other's work has to be fun as well.
Yeah. And this is such a specific trade that it's cool to have a format where we can show off how we're doing what we're doing, show off the tools we're using. People are in the chat asking specific questions. And so it just makes it more interactive of like, well, if you guys can learn from us, if we can help you in some way, maybe everyone starts making more work. And then that inspires us to keep making our work. And so it's just this cycle of people making cool stuff. And really, indie comics has always been that from the beginning. It's like, this is a community that relies on everyone sort of looking out for each other.
100%.
So
awesome, brother. Well, I can't think of a better spot to jump off here. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on social media, if you have a website, where they can back do the late backing on Arachnid Enforcer, all that pertinent info. Why don't you let everybody know?
Oh, sure. Yeah. If you guys Google Arachnid Enforcer, it will take you to the Kickstarter. The late pledge goes probably until end of December. You can find me at Jim Mahfood on Instagram and all other social media. It's very easy. I just have everything under my name.
Keep it simple,
and then my website is also jimmahfood.com, and you can order prints and back catalog of books and stuff like that as well. But yeah, man, James, this was a blast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I had a wonderful time, brother. I hope to have you back on in the future. Congratulations again on the success of the Kickstarter. I am for sure looking forward to the Gangster Boogie one shot that may or not be percolating in your brain. Hang out with me for a moment while I give everybody my spiel. Everybody, thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoy the podcast and want to give a little extra support, you can always like, subscribe, share. All of that is free. The podcast now has a Patreon because I'm following the lead of all these other awesome people. Patreon.com/nerdymewzings. In the meantime, everybody, happy Halloween and keep it nerdy.
Yes.